HeyMax in Hong Kong, the complete strategic analysis. This is an independent analysis of HeyMax's position in Hong Kong, researched in August 2026 from public sources. Nobody paid for it and nobody previewed it. Not HeyMax, not Cathay, not any bank, blogger, or platform named in it. The questions are specific, so I will be specific. What does Hong Kong's airline miles market really look like? Who are the players, ShopBack, the banks, Octopus, Cathay itself? What is the unusual partner system HeyMax runs in Hong Kong that it does not run in Singapore? Who is David B. Wang, the man in charge there? Who are the influencers who move the market? Who are the partners worth signing? And the question this whole series builds to, how does HeyMax actually win? The ground rules are the product. Every load-bearing claim traces to a real source. Company claims are labeled as company claims. Estimates are labeled as estimates, and where I could not verify something, I say so plainly. 20 chapters. The ground, the field, the company, the perception, the battlefield, the people, the partners, the plan. By the end, you get a verdict and the specific evidence that would prove me wrong. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why Hong Kong runs on miles. Hong Kong is, per head of population, the best airline miles market in Asia. This is a city of roughly 7.5 million people that generated 104.7 million resident departures in 2024 and pushed 1.14 trillion Hong Kong dollars through its credit cards in 2025. And the people producing that demand are chronically underpaid for it. That is my core claim, and it is the foundation everything else in this series stands on. The commissioning brief asked why Hong Kong runs on miles. My answer is that it is structural, not sentimental. The spending is enormous. The travel is compulsive. The culture is already educated, and the earn rates on offer are grudging. A market with world-class demand and stingy supply is a market with a gap in it. Here is the working. Start with the spending, because it is the raw material every loyalty business is refined from. According to the quarterly payment card statistics from the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the HKMA credit cards issued in Hong Kong carried about 1.14 trillion Hong Kong dollars of transactions in 2025. Call it 146 billion US dollars at roughly 7.8 Hong Kong dollars to the US dollar. That was up around 12% year-on-year, across roughly 1.47 billion transactions. And the trend accelerated through the year. The fourth quarter alone did 311.6 billion Hong Kong dollars, up 14.8% on the year before. This is emphatically a credit card city. Credit spend outweighs debit by roughly 4.5 to 1. One caveat I will flag rather than lean on. The same HKMA release counted just under 29 million cards in circulation at the end of 2025, up 38.4% in a single year. That jump almost certainly reflects a reporting or definition change rather than organic growth, since the historic figure hovered around 20 million. I am not quoting it as momentum, and neither should anyone else. The composition of that spending is the real tell. In the fourth quarter of 2025, 32% of retail card value was spent overseas, more than 100 billion Hong Kong dollars in a single quarter, crossing the border on Hong Kong plastic. That share is structurally huge by any market standard, and it matters twice over for a miles business. Overseas spend is where the better card earn rates live, and it is the direct financial shadow of the thing miles exist to fund, travel. Which brings us to the travel itself, and the numbers here are frankly absurd for a city this size. According to the ITE Hong Kong Outbound Report, which compiles data from the Immigration Department, the UN World Tourism Organization, and IATA, Hong Kong residents made 104.7 million departures in 2024. That is 110.6% of the 2019 figure. This is not a market recovering from the pandemic. It is a market that recovered and then kept climbing, with 76.85 million departures in the first 8 months of 2025 alone, up another 13.6%. Outbound travel spending hit $28.9 billion in 2024, per the UN World Tourism Organization Barometer, also above pre-COVID levels. And the frequency data is where it gets properly interesting. In IT's May 2025 survey of more than 4,000 travelers, 48.2% had taken 3 or more outbound holidays in the first half of the year alone. Only 6.2% had taken none. Half the surveyed population is flying out roughly every other month. The shape of those trips matters as much as the count. This is overwhelmingly independent travel. 87% of short-haul trips and 72% of long-haul trips are taken by free independent travelers, people booking their own flights and hotels, not packaged tourists whose agent captures the loyalty value. And the destination gravity is unmistakable. Japan drew 1.45 million Hong Kong visitors in the first 7 months of 2025, running at 110% of pre-COVID volume. The Hong Kong-Japan obsession is not a meme. It is measurable, and it is above its own historic peak. One more texture from the IATA data. Ticket volumes in the first 8 months of 2025 grew 28.4%, while billings grew only 4.7%. People are flying more often and paying less per ticket, a fair normalization and low-cost carrier mix that means more trips, more short-haul hops, and more occasions to earn and burn. High-frequency, short-haul, self-booked travel to Japan is close to the platonic ideal of a miles collector's life. The redemptions are attainable, the trips are frequent, and every booking is a decision the traveler makes personally. Now layer the culture on top, because Hong Kong did something most markets never do. It made miles chasing mainstream. The miles chasing culture, literally storing up miles in the local phrase, is not a hobbyist niche in Hong Kong. It is consumer common knowledge. Mainstream outlets like HK01 run Asia Miles conversion table explainers the way other cities' media run recipe columns. The insurer FWD publishes miles redemption guides. Money Hero and Money Smart maintain permanent miles card comparison sections. And beneath the mainstream layer sits a professionalized enthusiast media that has been compounding for more than a decade. CUC, the pseudonymous blogger behind flyformiles.hk, has been at it since 2013, funded by negotiated bank referral commissions. FlyAgain.la has run daily deal alerts since 2011 and negotiates its own exclusive Asia Miles hotel packages, meaning Cathay itself markets through the hobbyist ecosystem. Mr. Miles has published Asia Miles tutorials, stopover tricks, and open jaw routings since 2017. Around them orbits the broader Jetso reflex, Jetso meaning deals, the Telegram deal channels, the LIHKG credit card threads, a culture that treats extracting value from financial products as a civic sport. The practical consequence for any entrant is simple. This market does not need to be taught that miles are valuable. It taught itself years ago and built its own media to keep score. So that is the demand side: trillion-dollar card spend, 100 million departure travel volume, and a self-educated, media-saturated collecting culture. Here's the other half of my claim: the supply side is mean. General local card spend in Hong Kong earns a mile per 5 to 8 Hong Kong dollars. Put a value on that mile. Community sites typically price an Asia mile at 5 to 10 Hong Kong cents, depending on how it is redeemed. And I should be honest that this is an estimate. No authoritative published Hong Kong per mile benchmark exists. Even taking the generous end, general spend is returning something like 1 to 2% and often closer to 1. The genuinely good rates, around 2 Hong Kong dollars per mile, exist only inside narrow, capped, gated categories, which I will dissect properly in Chapter 3. The headline is enough for now. The most travel-hungry, card-heavy consumer base in Asia is being paid a grudging rate for its loyalty, in a market where, with no regulatory cap on card interchange, the economics could support more. That mismatch between what the demand deserves and what the supply pays is the standing arbitrage this whole series is about. What does this mean for HeyMax? 3 things, and the first is the big one. The hardest problem in loyalty, convincing people the currency matters, is already solved here, for free, by 20 years of culture. HeyMax does not have to evangelize miles to Hong Kong the way it might in a cashback-minded market. It has to outpay a stingy incumbent supply chain, which is a far easier brief. Second, the marginal mile is unusually valuable in Hong Kong precisely because card earn is so poor. An extra mile per $100, layered on top of existing card earn, moves the needle here in a way it would not in a more generous market. Third, and this is the caution, the same sophistication that pre-sold the market cuts both ways. This audience prices offers in spreadsheets, and its attention is mediated by bloggers who have been auditing deals since before HeyMax existed. A mediocre offer will be valued, found wanting, and dismissed within a weekend, and Chapter 13 will show that Hong Kong has so far barely bothered to look at all. Hong Kong does not need persuading that miles matter. It needs paying properly, and it will notice, quickly and publicly, whether anyone actually does. Chapter 2, Cathay's Kingdom. Hong Kong is a one-program miles market. Asia Miles is the default destination of practically every rewards dollar in the city, and that concentration is simultaneously the prize and the trap for anyone entering the loyalty business here. The prize, because a single partnership with Cathay buys instant relevance in a way no combination of partnerships could in a fragmented market. The trap, because a kingdom has one king, and the king sets the exchange rate. This chapter maps the kingdom. The two that follow show why its subjects are increasingly restless. Start with what the program actually is, because Cathay rebuilt it recently and the architecture matters. In July 2021, Cathay Pacific announced it would merge its two loyalty constructs, the Marco Polo Club, the elite status scheme that charged a $100 joining fee, and Asia Miles, the earn and burn currency dating back to 1999, into a single membership program called, simply, Cathay. The merged program launched on the 17th of August, 2022, per Business Traveler and Cathay's own materials. Membership became free. Every Asia Miles member became a Cathay Green member. Marco Polo's club points were renamed status points, and the currency itself kept the Asia Miles name. 4 tiers, green, silver, gold, diamond, and a deliberate repositioning. Cathay as a premium travel lifestyle brand, where members earn from shopping, dining, wellness, and payments, not just flying. The title of the executive fronting the October 2025 overhaul tells you the strategy in 3 words. Vivian Lowe is Cathay's director, customer lifestyle. That October 2025 overhaul, announced on the 15th, effective the 1st of January 2027, with 2026 as the transition year, is worth a moment, because it shows a program being run with real product intent rather than left to drift. Status points will no longer reset to 0 when you move up a tier, so points keep accruing toward the next one. Individual rolling qualification windows give way to a fixed calendar year. Gold members and above can carry over excess status points, up to half the requirement of their current tier. A new top tier, Diamond Exec, arrives at 2,400 or more status points a year, with a dedicated relationship manager. And a lifetime mechanic rewards the truly committed. Members with 5 or more cumulative diamond years earn a complimentary diamond year for every 6,000 lifetime status points, with no cap and no expiry. My read is that this is an airline investing in the top of its pyramid, while, as Chapter 4 will show in root-level detail, quietly taxing the aspirational redemptions of everyone below it. Now the honesty beat, because it is load-bearing. How big is this kingdom? The last independently verifiable figure is more than 11 million members and more than 800 program partners, dating from around 2019 and 2020. Cathay stopped routinely publishing the member count after that. The October 2025 press release announcing the overhaul cites no membership statistics at all, and the 12 million-plus figures floating around secondary media are, as far as I can establish, unverified. So I will say what can be said. The program is very large, plausibly north of 11 million members against a resident population of 7.5 million, meaning its reach extends well beyond Hong Kong and effectively saturates it, and the airline no longer tells us the number. When a company stops publishing a statistic, I note the silence rather than invent the figure. 2 structural features deepen the moat. The first is HK Express. Cathay acquired the low-cost carrier in 2019 and folded its Reward You program into Asia Miles at 8-1. Today, HK Express flights do not earn Asia Miles directly, but members can burn miles on HK Express from as little as 2,000 miles per booking, through full miles or miles plus cash redemptions, after linking their accounts. And the standard chartered Cathay MasterCard earns an enhanced rate of a mile per 2 Hong Kong dollars on HK Express spend. That makes Asia Miles a group-wide currency. Full service earning at the top, a low-cost burn sink at the bottom, catching both ends of the market and giving even small balances something real to do. The second feature is the first-party lifestyle machine. Cathay Dining pays a mile per 4 Hong Kong dollars at partner restaurants, and critically, offers card-linked earn, where members link any Visa or MasterCard and the miles accrue automatically. Cathay Shop runs curated e-commerce, including a physical store at City Plaza. MoneyBack is a Cathay-owned affiliate shopping portal. Click through, buy at external retailers, earn Asia Miles. The app frames the whole thing as earning across shop, dine, travel, or exercise. I will treat Cathay's competitor properly in Chapter 8. The point here is that in Hong Kong, unlike Singapore, where the airline's lifestyle arm is comparatively weak and bank currencies dominate, the airline itself runs the everyday earn machine. Is there any other currency in the kingdom? One, really, avios. And it matters precisely because of how Hong Kongers use it as a hedge on the same flights, not an alternative to them. Avios is one-world currency, redeemable on Cathay's own metal and on JAL, which between them cover most of what Hong Kong actually flies, and its distance-based pricing is sometimes cheaper than Asia Miles on short-haul routes. Every major Hong Kong bank currency, HSBC Reward Cash, DBS Dollars, CD Points, Amex membership rewards, transfers to it. Balances shuttle instantly, 1-to-1, between British Airways, Qatar Airways Privilege Club, Iberia, Aer Lingus and Finnair accounts, and Hong Kong collectors routinely move avios into Qatar's program for Q-Suit redemptions. The April 2025 rebrand of the British Airways Executive Club into the British Airways Club, with revenue-based tier points earned per pound spent, made British Airways' status essentially irrelevant to Hong Kong flyers. But the currency's redemption value was untouched, and the currency is the point. Everything else is genuinely secondary, and it is worth being blunt about why. KrisFlyer is transferable from most Hong Kong bank programs, but Singapore Airlines' network from Hong Kong is essentially the single Hong Kong to Singapore trunk route, so it is a currency for occasional premium cabin ambitions, not a daily driver. Flying Blue is a niche optimization for Europe via its monthly promo awards. ANA Mileage Club, reachable through Amex, offers strong Star Alliance value to Japan. And JAL Mileage Bank, the program of the airline flying to the market's favorite country, is not a transfer partner of any Hong Kong bank currency at all. The only practical way to Hong Kongers' beloved JAL metal is through Asia Miles or Avios, as one-world partners. Sit with that for a second, because it is the concentration mechanism in miniature. Even the Japan obsession, the emotional center of Hong Kong travel, routes its award bookings back through Cathay's currency. Devalue Asia Miles all you like, and Chapter 4 counts the ways, and it remains the key that opens the doors Hong Kongers most want opened. That is why no challenger currency has ever emerged locally, and why every bank rewards program in the city ultimately points the same direction. What does this mean for HeyMax? The one program structure dictated its Hong Kong entry, and the company read it correctly. It launched on the 5th of November, 2025, with Cathay as headline partner and Max Miles converting to Asia Miles 1-to-1, direct transfers restored 2 days before launch, per Mile Lion. In a kingdom, you present yourself at court. There was no other viable door, and HeyMax walked through the right one. But the same structure defines HeyMax's permanent exposure. Its Hong Kong proposition is, at bottom, a new way to acquire the king's currency, which means the king can reprice or revoke the privilege. And Cathay has shown, with its own portal, its card-linked dining urn, and the conversion bridges it keeps opening elsewhere, that it regards everyday earning as its territory, not neutral ground. HeyMax's structural hedge is the thing no one else in Hong Kong has. Roughly 30 airline and hotel transfer partners, including the Avios family that Hong Kong already uses as its insurance policy. My read is that HeyMax should treat the Cathay relationship as rented relevance and the multi-currency breadth as owned equity, visibly building the habit of optionality in its users. Because the day the kingdom squeezes, optionality is the only argument it will have. And in a market whose collectors already hedge instinctively, that argument has a ready audience. Chapter 3: The Card Game. Earning miles with a credit card in Hong Kong is markedly worse than doing the same thing in Singapore, by my arithmetic, 30 to 50% worse on general spend. And the coping mechanism the market has evolved, obsessive multi-card juggling, is precisely the kind of complexity an aggregator exists to monetize. That is the claim. This chapter is the audit. I have checked the rates below against bank product pages and the January 2026 comparison guides as of August 2026, and the picture they paint is consistent. Everything good in the Hong Kong card game is capped, gated, or thresholded, and the baseline beneath it is mean. Set the baseline first. General locals spend on a mainstream Hong Kong miles card earns 1 mile per 5 to 8 Hong Kong dollars. Priced against the community's estimated mile value of 5 to 10 Hong Kong cents, an estimate, as I flagged in Chapter 1, that is a rebate of roughly 1 to 2%, and often nearer 1. What passes for good in Hong Kong is a mile per 2 Hong Kong dollars, and it exists only in narrow, fenced-off places. Walk the deck. The airline co-brand, and let me correct a common assumption here. The Cathay co-brand sits with Standard Chartered, not HSBC, is the Standard Chartered Cathay MasterCard, and it is the structural oddity of the market because it posts Asia miles directly with no points intermediary. It earns a mile per 6 Hong Kong dollars on general local spend, per $4 on dining and hotels, per $3 on foreign currency, and per $2 on Cathay and HK Express spend itself. Note the shape. The best rate is reserved for money you give the airline anyway. Note also where the marketing budget actually goes. Through the summer of 2026, the card was being pushed with extra 15,000-mile welcome offers, 5,000-mile referral bonuses, and a blind box draw dangling up to 1 million miles. Hong Kong card competition expresses itself through welcome bonus escalation, not through sustained earn. The hobby's entire sign-up bonus economy, and the blogger industry that brokers it, lives on that fact. HSBC's play is the most interesting, because it comes closest to what an aggregator does. The Everymile card earns a mile per 5 Hong Kong dollars generally, but a mile per $2 at a designated list of everyday merchants, the MTR, KMB and Citabus, Starbucks, Klook and the like, which is HSBC aiming squarely at the miles-on daily spend behavior. The card earns reward cash, HSBC's in-house currency, converting at a preferential rate of 1 reward cash dollar to 20 miles, and the real asset sits above the card. The Reward Plus app converts reward cash into 19 airline and hotel programs, mostly instantly, with Hainan Airlines and China Southern added from the 11th of May, 2026. That is a genuine mini transfer hub inside a bank app, the closest bank-side substitute in Hong Kong for the flexibility HeyMax sells. Its limitation is definitional. You must be an HSBC cardholder, and the earning happens only on HSBC plastic. It is a walled garden with an unusually nice fountain. The rest of the deck illustrates the market's grammar of gates and fees. CD Premier Miles earns a dismal 1 mile per 8 Hong Kong dollars locally, improving to a mile per $4 or $3 on foreign currency. And Citi's thank you program converts at 12 points per mile, with a minimum transfer of 18,000 points and, remarkably, in 2026, a handling fee of 200 Hong Kong dollars per transfer. Friction as policy. The DBS Black World MasterCard converts DBS dollars at 48 per 1,000 miles across 4 airline partners and earns a genuinely good mile per 2 Hong Kong dollars on foreign currency, but only above a monthly spend threshold of 20,000 Hong Kong dollars. And it charges 100 Hong Kong dollars per 5,000 miles when the destination is Avios or KrisFlyer rather than Asia Miles. Amex Explorer earns around a mile per 3 Hong Kong dollars locally, per MoneySmart's accounting, with fee-free transfers to roughly 10 partners. Amex Platinum reaches a mile per $2 through its 9 times bonus buckets on foreign currency, travel, supermarkets, and petrol, inside quarterly category caps of 15,000 Hong Kong dollars, behind an annual fee of 9,500 Hong Kong dollars that is never waived. The best headline rates in the market belong to BOC Cheers, a mile per 1.5 to 1.9 Hong Kong dollars on dining and foreign currency. Read the fence around them. The dining rate applies to the first $10,000 a month, the foreign currency rate to the first $25,000, the general rate outside the buckets collapses to a mile per 15 Hong Kong dollars, and the infinite tier wants an income of 600,000 Hong Kong dollars plus a minimum monthly spend. Even the digital challenger follows the pattern. Mox Credits Miles Mode earns a mile per 10 Hong Kong dollars as standard, improving to a mile per $4 only with premium status. Itself gated on a balance of 250,000 Hong Kong dollars or a monthly payroll of 25,000. And one flag from my research that deserves stating plainly. Hang Seng's Power Card, sometimes casually lumped in with Miles cards, earns cashback in its Plus Fund dollars currency, and I could not verify any conversion path from Plus Fund dollars to Miles at all. Treat it as a cashback competitor for the same wallet, not a Miles card. Now the comparison that makes the diagnosis undeniable. In Singapore, an ordinary entry-level travel card earns 1.2 to 1.4 miles per Singapore dollar on general local spend, uncapped. Convert at roughly 5.9 Hong Kong dollars per Singapore dollar, and that is the equivalent of a mile per 4.2 to 4.9 Hong Kong dollars, meaning Singapore's uncapped general earn roughly equals Hong Kong's best fenced category earn. Singapore's well-known 4 miles per dollar category plays work out near a mile per 1.5 Hong Kong dollars, with materially broader caps. My estimate, and I label it as such. The Hong Kong market rewards card spend 30 to 50% less generously than Singapore on general spend, with heavier caps and minimum spend gates on top. The irony is that Hong Kong could afford better. There is no regulatory interchange cap here. Premium card interchange runs materially higher than in regulated markets, which is exactly what funds such generosity as exists. My read on why the money stays in the bank's pockets is Chapter 2's structure. In a one-program market where every card ultimately feeds Asia Miles, banks do not need to compete on sustained earn to be chosen. They compete on welcome bonuses at acquisition, and then they coast. Scarcity here is a strategy, not poverty. The behavioral consequence is the multi-card juggle, and it is the norm, not the exception. A serious Hong Kong collector carries the standard chartered card for Cathay spend, every mile for the commute and the coffee, DBS or BOC for foreign currency while the caps last, perhaps the Amex for a 9 times quarter, and then runs the real game in their head. Which cap is exhausted? Which threshold is unmet this month? Which category excludes which merchant code? The enthusiast media I described in Chapter 1 exists, in large part, to referee exactly this. Even the plumbing is uneven. HSBC's instant in-app conversion made instant Asia Miles transfers table stakes, which makes Citi's $200 fee and batch minimums look worse every year they survive. What does this mean for HeyMax? Everything, because HeyMax's core mechanic is additive, not substitutive. An aggregator does not ask a Hong Kong collector to abandon the juggle. It stacks on top of it. The same purchase, routed through a shopping link or a card-linked offer, earns max miles over and above whatever the card pays. In Singapore, stacking adds margin to an already decent base. In Hong Kong, where the base is 1 mile per $5 to $8, the marginal mile is worth proportionally more. The stingier the card game, the stronger the aggregator's pitch, and Hong Kong's card game is very stingy indeed. HeyMax's structural niche is equally clear from this audit. No Hong Kong bank offers an affiliate earning layer, and every bank hub, even HSBC's excellent one, is locked to its own cardholders, while HeyMax earns regardless of whose plastic is in the wallet. The caveat cuts the same way it did last chapter. This market's jugglers are professionals. They will compute HeyMax's effective earn to the second decimal place, compare it against the 5 News estimate of roughly 1 mile per 10 Hong Kong dollars of ordinary spending, and judge it as a stack, never a substitute. The pitch that wins here is not, replace your cards. It is, you are being underpaid on every card you own. Here is the missing layer. Chapter 4, The Burn Problem. Asia Miles has been devalued 3 times in 31 months. The cumulative bill on a long-haul business class award is up roughly 40% since September 2023. And that record has manufactured exactly the trust which every challenger to an incumbent loyalty program needs. That is this chapter's claim. Earning, the subject of the last chapter, is only half the ledger. The burn is where faith lives, a miles balance is deferred trust, a promise whose terms the issuer can rewrite at will, and Cathay has spent 3 years teaching Hong Kong's most devoted collectors what that fine print means. First, understand what Hong Kongers are actually saving for, because the psychology of the damage depends on it. The primary sinks are short-haul economy awards to Japan, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. JAL redemptions through the One World Partnership, since, as Chapter 2 established, Asia Miles and Avios are the only practical keys to JAL. HK Express burns via miles plus cash, from as little as 2,000 miles. And above all of it, the aspirational long-haul business class redemption, the lie-flat seat to London or Los Angeles that justifies years of disciplined earning. Since 2020, Asia Miles expiry has been activity-based. Any earn or burn every 18 months keeps a balance alive. That removed breakage anxiety, and it actively encouraged hoarding toward exactly those big redemptions. Add the market's most documented pain point, award availability on Cathay's own flights, where Cathay restricts partner program access to first-class awards, and peak period long-haul business remains the #1 community complaint, per the points Guy and others, and you have a population of patient hoarders, holding large balances, waiting for seats. Then the repricing began. Devaluation 1, the 1st of October, 2023, announced that July. The first award chart change since 2018, which is precisely why it landed so hard. After 5 years of stability, long-haul business jumped 20 to 30% in one move. Hong Kong to the U.S. West Coast in business went from 70,000 to 84,000 miles. First class went from 110,000 to 125,000. Premium economy from 45,000 to 50,000. The ultra-short-haul first-class zone was removed outright. Mainly miles, 1 mile at a time, and award wallet all documented the details, and the community treated it as the end of an era, because it was. Devaluation 2, the 15th of April, 2025, announced that March. Long-haul business rose again, London and Los Angeles from 84,000 to 88,000. Boston, New York, and Toronto from 110,000 to 115,000, a smaller step, 4,000 to 5,000 miles. But look at the other half of the same announcement, because it is the tell for everything that follows. Short-haul economy got cheaper. Taipei and Manila dropped from 7,500 to 7,000 miles. Bangkok, Singapore, and Shanghai from 10,000 to 9,000. Partner awards were untouched. Devaluation 3, the 1st of May, 2026, announced on the 26th of March. Long-haul business up a third time, London and Los Angeles to 91,000. Boston and New York to 119,000, another 3 to 4,000. And again, the mirror image on short haul. Premium economy to Bangkok, Singapore, and Shanghai cut from 20,000 to 18,000 miles, and business on those routes trimmed from 28,000 to 27,000. Partner pricing was stated as unchanged. Lion, tallying the sequence, put the cumulative damage plainly. Long-haul business awards now cost roughly 40% more than they did in September 2023. Run the arithmetic on what that does to a saver, because this is where policy becomes psychology. 40% over 31 months is a touch over 1% of purchasing power evaporating every month, my arithmetic, from the sourced route numbers, on precisely the redemption the collector is hoarding toward. The 84,000-mile balance that would have bought a business seat to London in early 2023 buys nothing of the sort today. The finish line moved 3 times while the runner was mid-race. And the pattern itself carries information. One large devaluation after 5 stable years reads as a repricing event. 3 in 31 months, each smaller than the last, reads as a policy. Higher frequency, lower magnitude changes that habituate the base to erosion. The community has noticed, with open speculation, reported by Lion, that the endpoint is dynamic pricing, the point at which an award chart stops being a promise at all. 3 aggravators compound the headline numbers. First, fuel surcharges on Cathay redemptions have been rising. Commentary around the May 2026 changes reported surcharges more than doubling across recent adjustments. And while I treat that magnitude as commentary rather than audited fact, the direction is not disputed. Growing cash copays quietly erode per mile value even where the chart holds still. Second, and structurally worse, Cathay's partner award charts are unpublished. Partner redemptions, the JAL bookings that carry Hong Kong's Japan obsession, can be repriced without any announcement at all, and a chart nobody can see is a chart nobody can hold the airline to. Partner pricing unchanged is a statement you simply have to take on faith, from an issuer whose recent record is the reason you stopped extending faith. Third, the wholesale signal. From the 1st of March, 2026, American Express in the United States cut its membership rewards transfer rate to Asia miles from 1-to-1 to 5-to-4, a 20% haircut. That is a U.S. market change, but per Loyalty Lobby's read, which I share, it signals Cathay repricing its miles upward with partners. The same commercial posture applied to the institutions that buy miles wholesale, and a preview of the conversation every transfer partner may eventually face. Step back and the strategy is coherent, which is exactly what makes it corrosive. This is not clumsy cost-cutting. It is steering. The mass market use case, 9,000 miles to Bangkok, an attainable award every collector can actually book, got cheaper 3 times, keeping the flywheel of small wins spinning. The aspirational use case got taxed 40%. Cathay is herding the many toward frequent, low-value redemptions and its lifestyle burn options, while extracting more from the dreamers. Commercially rational, yes, but the dream is the engine of the entire hobby. Nobody juggles 4 credit cards and tracks quarterly category caps for a discounted economy seat to Bangkok. They do it for the lie-flat seat they have promised themselves. Cheapen the daily wins and tax the dream, and you keep the transactions while hollowing out the faith. And the miles-chasing culture, as Chapter 1 showed, is a faith with its own clergy of bloggers, all of whom covered all 3 devaluations in route-level detail. The rational collector response, visible across that commentary, is threefold: hoard less, burn faster, and diversify. Which is precisely why Chapter 2's Avio's hedging habit has hardened from a connoisseur's trick into common prudence. What does this mean for HeyMax? The trust wedge is real, and it is HeyMax-shaped. Every plank of the resentment maps to a plank of the pitch. Balances that melt reward earn and burn velocity, which an always-on earning layer supports. Concentration risk rewards diversification, and HeyMax's roughly 30 transfer partners are diversification as a product. Unpublished charts reward optionality held outside the kingdom, in a currency that, per HeyMax's standing promise, never expires. Devaluation resentment is the single richest recruiting ground in the Hong Kong market, and it was manufactured entirely by the incumbent. But I have to state the two edges of this sword honestly. First, the wedge is not immunity. In Hong Kong, the dominant destination for a Max Mile is still Asia Miles, so every Cathay devaluation also devalues the thing HeyMax delivers. The wedge argues for HeyMax's breadth, not for its Cathay pipe. Second, the standard the wedge imposes is brutal. Because HeyMax's own 2026 record, the Accor transfer devalued from 1-to-1 to 3-to-2 with roughly 8 days' notice. 17 partners removed in June is the same behavior on a faster clock. You cannot market yourself as the refuge from devaluation while devaluing. The opportunity is genuine and large. Claiming it requires HeyMax to be demonstrably, contractually more trustworthy than the incumbent it is indicting, and Chapter 15 will test whether it can be. Chapter 5, The Coalition Giants. Hong Kong's daily spend loyalty mindshare is already owned by coalition programs with well over 10 million overlapping memberships, rewarding groceries, pharmacies, malls, and commutes with store credit, not miles. That is the terrain fact this chapter establishes and the strategic asymmetry that follows from it. The coalitions have scale HeyMax cannot match and will never match, but they pay in a currency HeyMax can beat. The fight in Hong Kong's daily spend loyalty is not for the habit, which is saturated, but for what the accumulated points become. Start with the biggest. U Rewards, spelled YUU, launched in July 2020, built by DFI Retail Group, Welcome, Mannings, 7-Eleven, IKEA, together with Hang Seng Bank and Jardine Restaurant Group, which brings KFC and Pizza Hut. It signed up 2 million members in its first month, per Campaign Asia, and DFI's corporate materials today claim more than 5 million members across Hong Kong and Macau, earning at more than 2,500 stores and 40-plus online platforms, with YouGov brand rankings cited to call it Hong Kong's #1 loyalty program. Functionally, U points are store credit, earned on the weekly shop and the lunchtime fried chicken, redeemed as discounts back into the same tills. It is loyalty as a closed circulatory system, enormous, habitual, and going nowhere near an airplane. Except that in June 2026, it grew a bridge, and the bridge leads to HeyMax. U points now convert into Max Miles at 3.6 points per mile, instantly and free, under a temporary monthly cap of 50,000 miles. The reverse direction, Max Miles into U at 1-to-3, had quietly existed since May 2025. Mile Lion, which covered the launch, pegged the implied cost at roughly 1.5 cents per mile, respectable buying. Read what this means structurally. 5 million coalition members acquired a route from supermarket spending to roughly 30 airline and hotel programs, and the route runs through HeyMax. It is, in my judgment, the single most important distribution asset HeyMax holds in Hong Kong, bolted onto the largest daily spend machine in the market. Hold that thought, because the second coalition shows exactly how contestable such a bridge is. MoneyBack is a S. Watson's program, under the C.K. Hutchison umbrella. Park and Shop, Watson's, Fortress, roughly 500 locations, 3.8 million active members, running since 2007. It already interoperates with the banking world through instant two-way conversion with HSBC Reward Cash. And as of 2026, it has an airline bridge of its own, pointed not at HeyMax, but straight at Cathay. MoneyBack points convert to Asia Miles in-app, in both directions, at 5 points per mile, 1,500 points becoming 300 miles, with the reverse direction at 2,000 miles for 4,250 points, and a monthly cap of 30,000 points. The start date of the 9th of March, 2026, is reported via Cathay's partner page and the rate guides rather than primary confirmed, and I flag it as such, but the deal itself is not in doubt. Understand what happened there. Cathay reached past every aggregator and plumbed Hong Kong's grocery and pharmacy spend directly into its own currency. The two biggest coalitions in the city each opened an airline bridge within months of each other, one through HeyMax, one around it. The third giant pays in mall money. The Point Sun Hung Kai Properties program, launched in 2019 and now spans 28 of the developer's malls and roughly 3,000 merchants, with more than 2.5 million members as of its 5th anniversary in January 2024, per the company's own releases. A dollar spent earns a point. Points become point dollars, spendable like cash in the malls, on parking, on electric vehicle charging. No airline bridge surfaced anywhere in my research. What Sun Hung Kai owns is physical, footfall, spend data, and the retail environments where a third of the city passes its weekends. It competes for attention and wallet, not for miles collectors yet. Then there is the commute, which Hong Kong loyalty has treated shabbily for years. MTR points, earned through the MTR mobile app at 30 points per dollar of Octopus paid fares, redeem at 400 points per dollar against e-store spending, capped at 30% of any payment, a value ceiling of 1/4 of 1 Hong Kong cent per point. MTR Mobile has passed 6 million registered users, per MTR's own pages, and the point system already accepts inbound conversions from HSBC Reward Cash. Open rails, low-value currency. KMB's Club 1933 is the same shape, smaller, a point per dollar of bus fare, in-app games, gift redemptions, and fare e-coins. Both occupy the daily commute reward habit without offering it anything aspirational, which is exactly why HeyMax and Visa aimed their April to June 2026 commute campaign, a max mile per dollar of tap-to-pay transit spend, at this territory. The incumbents taught millions of commuters to expect a reward for the ride. They never gave the reward anywhere to go. And one giant is a ghost. Octopus once ran its own loyalty scheme, Octopus's Old Day Rewards program, literally everyday rewards, and it matters to get the date right because it is often misremembered. The program was terminated in September 2020, not later. For 6 years now, the payment instrument in virtually every Hong Kong pocket, more than 20 million cards, roughly 98% adult penetration, 3.5 million transactions a day, all per Octopus's own published figures, has carried no loyalty program at all. What Octopus does instead is rent out its rails to other people's programs. A funding method inside ShopBack Pay since October 2025, interoperability with Japan's PayPay, and, per Octopus's own press release, the December 2025 HeyMax promotion that made mobile Octopus transit and retail payments earn miles for the first time in the instrument's history. The city's most universal spending tool is a loyalty vacuum with open plumbing, and Chapter 14 will treat that vacuum as one of the genuine openings in this market. Now the synthesis, because the pattern across all 5 is the strategy. Sum the memberships, 5 million plus on you, 3.8 million on MoneyBack, 2.5 million plus on The Point, 6 million registered on MTR Mobile, and even acknowledging that these are heavily overlapping individuals, the conclusion is unavoidable. The points on daily spend habit in Hong Kong is universal. There is no consumer left to teach. But look at what the points are. Store credit is a discount deferred, earned at welcome, spent at welcome, a few % return to the till it came from. A mile is a dream deferred, Chapter 1's Japan trips, Chapter 4's lie-flat seat. The coalition's optimized for redemption simplicity and got it at the price of aspiration. Nobody fantasizes about point dollars. That was a stable equilibrium for years, and 2025 and 2026 broke it. The moment you and MoneyBack opened airline bridges, coalition points stopped being closed-circuit discounts and became feedstock for travel currency, and the question of who operates the bridge became the whole game. Cathay has answered once already with MoneyBack. What does this mean for HeyMax? 3 directives in descending order of comfort. First, do not fight the coalitions for earn. That war is lost, was lost years before HeyMax arrived, and does not need winning. The coalition's scale becomes HeyMax's distribution the moment a bridge exists, as U proves. Second, the U bridge is the crown jewel of HeyMax's Hong Kong position, and it should be defended like one, deepened, promoted, made contractually durable, because it converts 5 million members' grocery habit into HeyMax's top of funnel at 0 acquisition cost. Third, the uncomfortable one. The moat is conditional. The competitor research puts it exactly right. HeyMax's coalition integration is a moat only for as long as Cathay does not sign you directly. MoneyBack demonstrates that Cathay will plumb coalitions itself, on its own terms, with its own currency, and a Cathay deal would drain HeyMax's most valuable channel overnight. HeyMax's counter is the same card it holds everywhere in this market: breadth. Cathay can offer you one destination. HeyMax offers roughly 30, never expiring. The coalitions own where Hong Kong earns. The contest HeyMax can actually win is over what the earning becomes, and it should spend accordingly. Chapter 6: ShopBack and the Cashback Flank. The most dangerous competitor HeyMax faces in Hong Kong is not a bank. It is not a retail coalition. It is not even Cathay. It is ShopBack. That is my core claim for this chapter, and the reasoning is structural. ShopBack runs the same affiliate engine. It courts the same merchants. It sells the same promise that your everyday spending can turn into travel. And in 2026, it opened a direct pipe from its cashback balances into Asia miles, which partially neutralizes the very pitch HeyMax landed in Hong Kong with. What keeps the contest alive is ShopBack's cashback-first DNA and its single airline ceiling. That combination leaves a flank open. Whether HeyMax can exploit that flank is one of the 2 or 3 questions this whole series turns on. Start with the scale gap, because it is sobering. ShopBack was founded in Singapore in 2014. It is the company HeyMax's founders would have studied before writing a line of code, and it entered Hong Kong around November 2022, 3 years before HeyMax did. Its second anniversary press release, in November 2024, claimed 600,000 Hong Kong members and more than 100 million Hong Kong dollars in cumulative cashback paid out. By October 2025, per FinTech News Hong Kong's coverage of the ShopBack Pay launch, the claims had grown to 1 million Hong Kong users and 300 million Hong Kong dollars in cumulative cashback. Both of those figures are company published, and nobody has audited them. But even discounted generously, they put ShopBack an order of magnitude ahead of HeyMax in this market. The comparison is made easier by an awkward fact. HeyMax has never published a Hong Kong user number at all, and the trajectory matters as much as the level. 600,000 members to a claimed 1 million in roughly 11 months, with 30% year-on-year sales growth during its 9/9 shopping promotion in September 2025. That is a compounding machine, not a stalled beachhead. The overlap with HeyMax's model is almost total on the earn side. ShopBack's Hong Kong roster is anchored by Taobao, Agoda, Klook, Foodpanda, and iHerb. The same category of merchants monetize the same way through affiliate commissions rebated back to the user. Where ShopBack has gone further is offline. ShopBack Pay launched in Hong Kong in October 2025 with more than 500 local food and beverage and retail outlets. And here is the genuinely clever part. It launched with Octopus as a funding method, alongside Visa, MasterCard, and the phone wallets. That is a company borrowing Octopus's roughly 98% adult penetration rather than fighting it. Add a MasterCard exclusive cashback partnership announced in June 2025 and a Macau expansion in August 2025, and the picture is of a platform executing the full stack. Online affiliate, in-store payments, card network deals, cross-border. A reach HeyMax cannot match this year or next. Then came the direct hit. ShopBack Hong Kong now offers in-app conversion of cashback into Cathay's Asia miles at $1 Hong Kong dollar of cashback for 7 miles, with a 50 Hong Kong dollar minimum and roughly 14 working days of processing. That is per ShopBack's own help center documentation. The partnership was publicized through the Sinclair Communications Agency, and my best dating puts it in the first half of 2026. I label that an estimate because the announcement trail is not precisely dated. Run the arithmetic, and the implied price is about 1.43 Hong Kong cents per mile, which is aggressive. For context, MileLion prices the route from U points into max miles, U being the coalition currency spelled YUU, at roughly 1.53 cents per mile of effective cost. An ordinary card spend in Hong Kong buys miles at 5 to 8 Hong Kong dollars each. For a user whose cashback would otherwise sit idle in an app, 7 miles per cashback dollar is a genuinely good trade. Now the strategic reading. HeyMax's core pitch is, shop through us and your everyday spending becomes airline miles. For the one currency that the majority of Hong Kong's miles-chasing crowd actually wants, ShopBack now delivers the same outcome, with a bigger merchant base and a 7-figure claimed user head start. And there is a harsher message underneath. Cathay chose ShopBack, not HeyMax, as its cashback conversion partner. HeyMax got the 1-to-1 max miles transfer at launch. ShopBack got the cashback bridge. MoneyBack got two-way conversion. Cathay is deliberately spreading itself across multiple retail bridges, and HeyMax is one bridge among several, not the anointed one. So why do I say the flank remains open? 4 reasons. First, DNA. ShopBack is cashback first. Miles are a bolt-on redemption option, not the native unit of the product. That sounds cosmetic, and it is not. A committed miles collector thinks in miles from the moment of spend. They want earn rates quoted in miles, a balance denominated in miles, transfer options laid out like a departure board. ShopBack's product thinks in cash and translates on request. HeyMax's product thinks in miles natively. Brand identity follows product grammar, and repositioning a million-user cashback brand as a miles brand is the kind of pivot companies attempt in year 5 and regret in year 6. Second, breadth. ShopBack's pipe goes to exactly one program. HeyMax transfers to roughly 30 airline and hotel programs at 1-to-1. In a market where Asia Miles has been devalued 3 times in 31 months, which was the subject of Chapter 4, single currency exposure is precisely what the sophisticated collector is trying to escape. The Avios hedgers, the Qatar sweet spot hunters, anyone who watched long-haul business class awards inflate roughly 40% since September 2023. All of them have a live reason to want optionality that ShopBack structurally cannot offer without signing new deals. Third, friction. A 50 Hong Kong dollar minimum and 14 working days of waiting is not catastrophic, but it is a visible toll set against HeyMax's direct transfers. Optimizers notice tolls. Noticing tolls is most of what they do. Fourth, and this deserves its own moment, firepower. Per Bloomberg, ShopBack's group cut 24% of its headcount, roughly 195 roles, in March 2024 after retreating from Buy Now Pay Later. Its results for fiscal 2025, as reported by Deal Street Asia, show revenue of $129.4 million, down 2.8% year-on-year. A swing to net profit, driven largely by fair value gains rather than operations. Operating cash flow still negative, though much narrowed. And total equity still negative, at minus $230.3 million. Read plainly, this is a disciplined company managing itself toward break-even, not a flush one. A group carrying negative equity does not lightly bankroll a Hong Kong promotion war against a freshly funded challenger. ShopBack's scale is real. Its capacity to escalate is constrained. That constraint is the quiet good news in this chapter for HeyMax. The flank map needs 2 more names, because the cashback flank shades into the comparison site flank. Money Hero Group, listed on NASDAQ, reported fiscal 2025 revenue of $73.4 million, with its net loss narrowed to $5.2 million, per its filings with the American Securities Regulator. It is Hong Kong's dominant financial products comparison platform, and it competes for what I would call the acquisition moment. Which miles card you apply for, sweetened with one-off application gifts that are frequently Asia Miles, all wrapped in the market's most powerful card content search machine. Yet Money Hero is simultaneously a HeyMax partner, issuing Max Miles as application rewards live on its product pages today. Competitor and channel in the same body. That is a duality I come back to in Chapter 11. MoneySmart plays the same game at what I judge to be smaller scale, and I could not find independent Hong Kong figures to verify the relative sizes, so treat that ranking as my judgment. Neither company attacks recurring earn, but but both shape which cards sit in a collector's wallet. And the cards in the wallet are the substrate that HeyMax's stacking pitch depends on. What does this mean for HeyMax? It cannot win a reach war against ShopBack, so it must refuse to fight one. The play is specialization. Own the miles native identity. Own the 30-program breadth. Own the toll booth-free transfers and the collector segment that ShopBack treats as a redemption feature rather than an audience. Make serious about miles mean HeyMax the way Cashback already means ShopBack. And do it before ShopBack decides the segment is worth a product of its own. The falsifiers are concrete. If ShopBack adds a second and a third airline to its conversion pipe, drops the minimum and the waiting period, or starts quoting earn rates in miles on the storefront, the flank closes. At that point, HeyMax's differentiation contracts to transfer breadth alone, which is a feature, not a moat. Watch those tells. I will be. Chapter 7. The Bank's Walled Gardens. Hong Kong's banks own the top of the miles funnel, the card swipe where every mile is actually minted, and they have no commercial reason whatsoever to open their walls to a third-party aggregator. That is the core claim of this chapter, and its consequence is a strategic instruction. HeyMax must build around the banks, not through them. Anyone whose Hong Kong plan depends on a big bank opening its rewards currency to an outside platform is planning for a market that does not exist. Here is why the banks matter so much. Per the quarterly card statistics from the HKMA, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, Hong Kong ran roughly 1.14 trillion Hong Kong dollars of credit card spending through the system in fiscal 2025, up about 12% year-on-year. Nearly every mile in a Hong Kong collector's account began life as a slice of that flow. The bank collects the interchange. The bank sets the earn rate. The bank defines the caps and the bonus categories, and the bank decides which airline programs its points may become. Whoever controls that conversion menu controls the practical meaning of earning miles for most people. The banks control it absolutely, and they have built genuinely formidable gardens inside their walls. The flagship garden is HSBC's. Reward Cash is the de facto second currency of Hong Kong card spend, and inside the bank's Reward Plus app, it converts at 1 Reward Cash dollar to 20 miles across 19 airline and hotel programs, mostly instantly. Hainan Airlines and China Southern were added from the 11th of May, 2026. Sit with that for a moment. 19 programs, instant transfers, no fees, inside a bank app. That is a transfer hub approaching HeyMax's own breadth, built by the incumbent for its cardholders years before HeyMax arrived. HSBC also fields the Every Mile card, earning 1 mile per 2 Hong Kong dollars on designated everyday categories, which is the bank's direct answer to the miles on daily spend positioning. The point is uncomfortable but clarifying. The bank with the most to gain from a neutral aggregator has instead built the closest thing to one inside its own wall. And it works only if you hold HSBC cards. The other gardens are smaller, but they tell the same story. Hang Seng's Power card earns the bank's fund dollars at up to 8% on designated online categories. But I could find no published path from fund dollars to any airline program, and I flagged that honestly as a gap I could not close rather than a verified dead end. Hang Seng's real loyalty energy routes through You, spelled YUU, where it is the coalition's banking partner. DBS runs the staple Black World MasterCard at 48 DBS dollars per 1,000 miles, with just 4 airline partners and an in-app redemption portal called iGo. A solid card with a narrow menu. And CD is the cautionary exhibit in friction as strategy. 12 thank you points per mile, a minimum of 18,000 points per conversion, and a 200 Hong Kong dollar handling fee on every single transfer. One correction worth making explicitly, because I have seen it garbled in circulating briefs. The Cathay co-brand card in Hong Kong is Standard Chartered's MasterCard. It is not an HSBC product. Now the central question, why will the walls stay up? 3 reasons, and they are structural, not attitudinal. First, points are a liability line, and breakage is margin. Every point that expires unredeemed, Every point that dies in a drawer with a forgotten card is pure profit to the issuer. An aggregator whose entire reason for being is to optimize redemption is, from a bank's perspective, a machine for destroying breakage. Second, the rewards menu is the lock-in. Hong Kong's cards are barely differentiated on rates. Chapter 3 showed general earn stuck at 5 to 8 Hong Kong dollars per mile, with the good earn of $2 per mile confined to narrow, capped categories. So the conversion menu, the bonus categories, and the promotional calendar are the differentiation. Open that to a neutral third party, and the card collapses into a commodity interchange pipe. Third, and I label this one as inference rather than documented fact, bank compliance and data governance cultures in Hong Kong make handing transaction-linked rewards flows to a 2-year-old Singapore startup an unnatural act. The observable outcome supports all 3 reasons. No Hong Kong bank has ever opened its rewards currency to an independent third-party aggregator. The nearest phenomena, reward cash flowing into MoneyBack or into MTR points, are bilateral deals a bank chose, one partner at a time, on its own terms. That is a bank curating its garden, not lowering the wall. HeyMax actually knows all this better than most because Crip lived it. That is Crip, spelled K-R-I-P, the Hong Kong deal startup HeyMax acquired. Before the acquisition, Crip's business-to-business clients were Livy Bank and Grantit, banks and lenders paying for deals discovery tooling and distribution. Banks will buy software from a startup. They will buy customer attention from a startup. They will not outsource their currency to one, which makes David B. Wang's articulation of the model a centralized, aggregated deals database where every bank is an equal piece of the puzzle. As he put it on the Unsensible podcast, an aggregator's dream and a bank's nightmare in a single sentence. Equal pieces of someone else's puzzle is precisely what banks refuse to become, and HeyMax should not spend $1 of Hong Kong energy trying to persuade them otherwise. The Singapore comparison sharpens the picture rather than softening it. Singapore's general spend miles cards earn an uncapped 1.2 to 1.4 miles per Singapore dollar. At roughly 5.9 Hong Kong dollars to the Singapore dollar, that ordinary Singaporean earn is about equal to Hong Kong's best capped category earn. And Singapore's banks are just as walled. HeyMax never got a bank to open there either. The difference is that HeyMax's home market model never needed them to. The affiliate layer stacks on top of card earn rather than competing with it. You swipe your bank card, you keep your bank's points, and you collect max miles as a second layer that the merchant funds. That is the architecture that roots around the walls, and it works identically in Hong Kong. Arguably, it works better here, because Hong Kong's miserly, cap-riddled card earn makes a free supplementary layer more valuable, and because the multi-card juggling that Hong Kong's category system forces on collectors is exactly the problem a neutral aggregator solves. No single bank will ever show you the whole board. The aggregator's value is its neutrality, and the bank's walls are what make neutrality scarce. The build-around toolkit follows directly. Stacking is the consumer pitch. Max miles, plus card points, plus merchant points on one transaction. The triple dip the Hong Kong blogs flagged at launch. Card Maximizer, sitting on Crip's database of more than 6,000 card deals across 480 cards, is the utility pitch. HeyMax as the instrument panel for the juggling the banks force on you. And the payments embedded channels, the Mobile Octopus integration, and the Visa card-linked transit campaigns run on network and wallet rails that require no bank's permission at all. Visa the network, notably, cooperates even where Visa's issuers would not. Card-linked offers live a layer above the issuer's reward system. Every one of these motions treats the bank's walls as terrain rather than obstacle. What this means for HeyMax is a discipline as much as a strategy. Do not burn quarters pitching HSBC, Hang Seng, or the other giants on platform partnerships. The answer is structurally no, and the meetings will be pleasant and endless. Treat the big banks as content and affiliate channels at most. Their cards are deals to be indexed, and their sign-up bounties are a fact of the ecosystem. Save the business development calories for institutions that lack a miles story and hunger for one. Mid-tier issuers like Da Sing and Ian, and the digital banks, which get Chapter 18 to themselves. The right posture is Switzerland on top of the walls. Neutral, useful to every cardholder, and threatening no issuer badly enough to provoke retaliation. And here is what would change my mind. If a major Hong Kong bank ever lets a third-party issue or redeem its currency, or if HSBC opens Reward Plus conversions to people who hold no HSBC card, then the walls are coming down, and this chapter's strategy is obsolete. I consider both about as likely as the banks abolishing annual fees. Which is to say, watch for it, but do not plan on it. Chapter 8, Cathay as competitor plus the graveyard. HeyMax's headline partner in Hong Kong is simultaneously its most capable competitor. Both halves of that sentence are true at once, and holding them together is the analytical work of this chapter. Along the way, we will take a walk through Hong Kong's small graveyard of Miles fintechs, which shows what happens to challengers who try this market without partners at all. First, the partnership as it stands. When HeyMax launched in Hong Kong on the 5th of November, 2025, Cathay was the headline. Max Miles converting to Asia Miles at 1-to-1, with direct transfers restored on the 3rd of November. That is 2 days before the press release, per Mile Lion, which tells you the launch was choreographed around the Cathay announcement. The logic of the alliance is real. Every Max Mile a Hong Kong user points at Cathay makes HeyMax more useful, and Cathay collects engagement and mile sale revenue from customers it spent nothing to acquire. David B. Wang has framed it exactly this way, telling the Unsensible podcast that HeyMax doesn't compete with Asia Miles, but complements it, driving daily engagement while offering choice across carriers. That framing is true today. It is also conditional always, and the conditions are Cathay's to set. Because look at what Cathay has been building. Since rebranding Asia Miles into the unified Cathay membership in August 2022, the airline has been assembling a lifestyle-earn machine that competes for precisely the behavior HeyMax targets. My competitor research counts more than 800 lifestyle partners and cites more than 12 million members. Though I treat the member figure as an estimate because Cathay stopped publishing member counts. The last verifiable number was 11 million plus back in 2019 and 2020, and everything since is extrapolation. The stack itself is concrete enough. Cathay Shop and the online shopping partners portal with its periodic MilesBack promotions is an affiliate-style earn portal. HeyMax's Singapore model with a single destination currency. Cathay Dining's card-linked earn lets a member link any Visa or MasterCard and automatically collect roughly 1 mile per 4 Hong Kong dollars at partner restaurants, with no separate app tap required. That is the same card-linked mechanic HeyMax used for its Visa Commute campaign, deployed first-party and at scale. The standard chartered Cathay MasterCard covers the co-brand flank, at 2 Hong Kong dollars per mile on Cathay spend and $4 per mile on dining, hotels, and overseas. Cathay runs periodic 10% bonus campaigns on converting bank and retail partner points inward, per Mr. Miles's conversion guides. In March 2026, it reportedly opened two-way conversion with MoneyBack at 5 points per mile. I say reportedly because the start date comes from secondary coverage rather than a primary Cathay announcement I could confirm. And, as Chapter 6 covered, it signed ShopBack, not HeyMax, as its cashback conversion bridge. Add Mox, the Cathay-invested digital bank that has issued 1.8 billion Asia Miles since 2023, as proof that Cathay will embed its currency very deeply indeed with partners it controls. Assemble those pieces and the pattern is unmistakable. Cathay is building a first-party version of every earn channel HeyMax operates: shop portal, dining card link, co-brand card, coalition conversion, cashback bridge, captive bank. It is competing for the identical behavior, earning miles on daily Hong Kong spend with the destination currency itself. And the economics tilt its way, because Cathay mints Asia Miles at internal cost, while HeyMax and every other intermediary must buy them. The strategic exposure follows directly. HeyMax's Hong Kong proposition leans hard on the one-to-one Asia miles transfer. In a one-program market, that pipe is most of the pitch. If Cathay repriced it, capped it, or shut it, HeyMax's Hong Kong value would collapse to its secondary currencies overnight. HeyMax's counterweights are real but modest. Multi-airline optionality means the product survives a Cathay pull in weakened form, and the partnership costs Cathay nothing while delivering engagement, so pulling it has a price for Cathay too, just not a large one. I would summarize the relationship in one line. Complementary today, conditional always, and the conditions are not HeyMax's. Now the graveyard, because Hong Kong has already run the experiment of attacking this market without an economic engine. The instructive corpse is Divot. Founded in 2019 to link loyalty with real-time payments, Divot's consumer product let users earn and spend miles on payments over FPS, the city's faster payment system, with instant, two-way, one-to-one Asia miles convertibility. It was listed as an Asia Miles retail partner, which at the time looked like the golden ticket. As of August 2026, the Divot website has been repositioned entirely as business-to-business payments infrastructure. Invoicing, checkout, web point of sale. Every trace of Miles' language is gone, and the old members page returns a dead link. No shutdown was ever announced that I could find. I infer the pivot from the site evidence, and I label it as exactly that. Two lessons, and they cut in opposite directions. The grim one. A consumer Miles play running on payment margins alone could not sustain itself in Hong Kong. Payments margins are thin, miles are expensive, and without a merchant-funded earn engine the arithmetic fails. The encouraging one, which I think is underappreciated. Cathay granted a small local startup full two-way convertibility. Access to the currency is evidently not the scarce thing. The scarce thing is an economic engine that survives paying for the miles. Divot had the access and lacked the engine. HeyMax claims to have both. That is a claim Chapter 9 examines rather than assumes. One more player belongs in this chapter because it is so often miscast as a rival. HKTV Mall. Hong Kong's largest homegrown e-commerce platform did roughly 8.4 billion Hong Kong dollars of gross merchandise value in fiscal 2025, with about 1.6 million monthly active devices. And it runs its own rebate currency, mall dollars, at a typical 10% back in store credit. Its chairman's statement for that year describes a significantly expanded cashback program that pays mall dollar rebates for shopping on external travel platforms and on brands' own sites, which is, functionally, an affiliate cashback network parked in HeyMax's territory. But the currency only spends at HKTV Mall, which caps its appeal to a travel-minded collector, and HKTV Mall simultaneously sits on HeyMax's Hong Kong merchant list as an earn partner. Partner more than competitor is the honest classification. A weak currency rival and a useful commissions source in the same body. Which brings me to the synthesis this chapter exists to deliver. I went looking in English and in a Chinese language sweep of the miles-chasing media for a direct clone of HeyMax's model in Hong Kong. Multi-airline, transferable miles, earned on everyday spend, independent of any bank or single airline. There isn't one. Everything adjacent is single airline, like Cathay's own Stack and ShopBack's pipe, or bank-locked like HSBC's 19 Program Hub, or coalition-locked like you and MoneyBack. But here is the crucial inversion. The behavior HeyMax needs is utterly saturated. Between U's 5 million plus members, MoneyBack's 3.8 million, the Point's 2.5 million plus, and every bank app besides, rewarded daily spend is already a universal Hong Kong habit. Nobody needs to be taught to collect points here. The competition is therefore not for the product category, where HeyMax stands alone, but for the behavior. For routing, HeyMax's fight is to convince people who already collect 3 currencies before breakfast to route their spend through one more layer. What this means for HeyMax reduces to 2 commandments. First, manage the Cathay dependency like the strategic exposure it is. Make HeyMax's engagement contribution measurable and visible inside Cathay so that pulling the transfer has a legible cost. Keep AVOs and Qatar polished as escape hatches that give users, and HeyMax itself, an alternative story. And never, ever market itself as better than Asia miles out loud, because provoking the counterparty that mints your headline currency is how partnerships end. Second, red divots grave correctly. Partners are not the moat, and neither is currency access. The engine is. If the merchant-funded economics hold, HeyMax can survive Cathay's first-party squeeze. If they don't, no partnership will save it. My falsifiers are specific. If Cathay ever launches a multi-currency earn portal, my no-clone claim dies. Though I rate that unlikely, since optionality is against Cathay's interest. And if Cathay reprices or restricts the HeyMax transfer, the kill scenario of Chapter 15 has begun, and this chapter's balance of terror will have tipped. Chapter 9, The Singapore Story. HeyMax is a genuinely novel open loyalty engine with real traction and an unproven long-term economic base. Both halves of that sentence are load-bearing, and Hong Kong inherits both, because the company arriving at Kai Tak's doorstep is the company Singapore built. Its product, its investors, its habits, and its history of giving generously and then clawing back. Start at the founding. HeyMax was started in 2023 by 4 former Meta engineers, led by co-founder and chief executive Joe Liu, previously an engineering manager at Meta. A correction worth making explicitly, because I have seen it garbled in circulating briefs. The CEO is Joe Liu, not Joe NG. Aikfong NG is the chief commercial officer, a different person entirely. The founding idea was, and is, the interesting thing: loyalty as an open network rather than a set of walled economies. Banks and airlines run closed currencies designed to trap value inside. HeyMax proposed a neutral currency, Max Miles, that any merchant can fund, and that converts outward to whichever airline or hotel program the user actually wants. The mechanics are simple to describe. Users earn Max Miles by shopping through HeyMax's links and deals. In Hong Kong terms, roughly 0.1 to 2 miles per Hong Kong dollar, depending on the merchant. The miles never expire, which the community genuinely loves. They transfer at 1-to-1 to roughly 30 airline and hotel programs, or they redeem against any flight through the Fly Anywhere feature, at a rate the optimizer community prices around 2 cents per mile, per the working maths that circulates on MileLion and Reddit. The perennial gripe is almost comic. No crease-flyer transfer. In Singapore, of all places, the home currency is the one missing from the departure board. And the funding model, per David B. Wang's account on the Unsensible podcast, is that merchants predominantly fund the miles. Affiliate commissions, recycled into currency. That single sentence contains both the elegance of the model and, as we'll see, its constraint. The capital story is solid and worth taking seriously. A seed round of $2.6 million closed in July 2024, led by January Capital, with Tenity, Ascend Angels, and XA Network participating. Then, the meaningful round. $11 million in Series A funding, announced on the 28th of January, 2026, led by Peak 15 Partners, the firm formerly known as Sequoia India and Southeast Asia. Hong Kong-based Betatron Venture Group came aboard as a strategic investor, a detail that telegraphs the Hong Kong ambitions. And the angels include Rob Rosenstein, the Agoda co-founder, and David Lee, former president of Visa Asia Pacific. Those are names that open partnership doors in exactly the industries HeyMax needs. The team was about 30 people as of April 2026. 30 people, carrying Singapore, Hong Kong, and a stated expansion map of Japan, Taiwan, and Australia. That is a fact I will return to when ranking threats. Now the traction, with the hygiene this series promised. Every headline number is company-claimed and unaudited. More than 100,000 users at the Hong Kong launch. More than 150,000 at the Series A, an annualized revenue run rate of $6 million. 500 million miles issued per year. 5 times year-on-year revenue growth. An end of 2026 targets of 1 million users and 2 billion max miles issued regionally. Nobody outside the company has verified any of it, and HeyMax has never once published a Hong Kong-specific user number. The strongest independent signal is Peak 15's check. An investor with data room access put $11 million behind these claims. That is diligence, not audit, but it is not nothing. The heart of this chapter, though, is the arc of 2025 and 2026, because that arc is what Hong Kong is actually inheriting. In April 2025, HeyMax announced a major overhaul of redemptions. Partners shifted from instant transfers to a cash-for-miles mechanic. The transfer minimum jumped from 1,000 to 10,000 miles. Some partners were suspended outright. MileLion's coverage was balanced, but its readers were already probing the business model's sustainability in the comments. Restorations followed through the year. Qatar in July, then Accor, then Asia Miles direct transfers on the 3rd of November, 2025, 2 days before the Hong Kong launch. Then came June 2026, and the tightening turned structural. On the 1st of the month, the Cash for Miles program was sunset, and 17 transfer partners were removed at a stroke. Aeroplan, American A Advantage, British Airways, Emirates, Qantas, and United among the airlines. Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt among the hotels. That left roughly 20 direct partners standing. MileLion's read was that the mechanic had simply been too expensive to sustain. 3 weeks later, Accor transfers were devalued from 1-to-1 to 3-to-2, a cut of about a third on roughly 8 days' notice. MileLion's verdict has the weary tone of a community recalibrating. Quote, "As disappointing as this is, I can't say I'm surprised," unquote. The sharpest trust flashpoint arrived in April 2026, with HeyMax first. A paid membership running from 99 Singapore dollars to 1,999 Singapore dollars a year, functioning as a miles credit line. Draw miles up front, pay an access fee of 2.3 to 3 cents per mile, and earn the drawdown back over time. MileLion's Wang reviewed it as genuinely useful but demanding careful financial judgment. His commenters were less diplomatic, and one line deserves quoting verbatim because it crystallizes the worry. Quote, "Brilliant financial engineering that doesn't even require the company to have a proper banking license," unquote. Another commenter invoked MilesLife, the Miles startup of the late 2010s that collapsed while holding user deposits, as the cautionary parallel. HeyMax's chief executive replied in the thread promising refund integrity. The skepticism did not go away. Deposit-shaped mechanics convert abstract sustainability doubts into a concrete counterparty risk conversation, and that conversation is now permanently on the record. And then there is the chocolate finance episode, the stress test HeyMax half-passed. In March 2025, the HeyMax partnered chocolate finance debit card, which earned an outsized 2 miles per dollar, was exploited through bill payments at industrial scale. Chocolate abruptly capped it, and the resulting panic triggered a redemption run of 500 million Singapore dollars on chocolate finance over 2 weeks. The community verdict largely absolved HeyMax. The representative Reddit line blamed, quote, "a shit partner," unquote, rather than the platform. But the episode created HeyMax's harshest standing critic. After the card's earn rate was halved just 4 months post-launch, the Sudasmile blog wrote, quote, "I'm just not a fan of HeyMax's unsustainable promos and pump and dump way of doing things," unquote. That quote travels, and it will eventually travel to Hong Kong. My read of all this is neither the bull case nor the obituary. What the record shows is a marketplace discovering its unit economics in public. The pattern, launch generous, discover the true cost, claw back, has now run at least 4 times. The transfer minimums, the chocolate card, cash for miles, Accor, that is not fraud, and the honest framing matters. Each clawback came with notice. MileLion still covers every change. Hardware Zone still hosts believers posting free Japan ticket testimonials, alongside skeptics fretting about hacks and tracking. Singapore's sentiment, distilled from my perception research, is still engaged and largely trusting, but pricing in future devaluations. Yet the underlying question remains open. Can merchant-funded commissions sustain 1-to-1 transfers into premium airline currencies at scale, forever? 5 times revenue growth is the company's answer. 17 removed partners is the market's counter-evidence. What this means for HeyMax in Hong Kong is double-edged, in a way the company must manage deliberately. It arrives with a proven engine. Real product, real redemptions, top-tier capital, a partner network Singapore validated. It also arrives with a fully documented pattern of generosity followed by clawback, sitting in searchable blog archives one border away. Hong Kong's collectors haven't noticed yet. Chapter 13 shows just how little they've noticed anything about HeyMax. But every serious Hong Kong partner running diligence, and eventually every serious Hong Kong blogger writing the first real review, will surface the Accor cut and the HeyMax first thread with a single search. HeyMax's Hong Kong story needs a prepared answer to the question, why won't Hong Kong get the 2026 treatment? And we were growing quickly at the time is not an answer. The companies that survive their own history are the ones that tell it first. Chapter 10, The Hong Kong Landing. Buying Crip instead of parachuting in was the single smartest Hong Kong decision HeyMax has made. With one undisclosed check, it acquired a deals database nobody else had assembled, a set of live bank relationships, and a native operator with the right obsession. And it compressed a market entry that should have taken 2 years into about 3 months. This chapter is the story of that landing, what Crip was, what the acquisition actually bought, how the launch was choreographed, and how the Hong Kong product that emerged differs from the Singapore original. Consider first the road not taken because it is the default road for regional consumer fintech. The parachute playbook goes like this: translate the app, sign some affiliate deals, buy performance ads, hire a country manager off LinkedIn. That playbook fails predictably in Hong Kong. This is a market where trust in Miles products is mediated by a handful of anonymous bloggers, where the banks control the earn economics, and where Jetso culture, Jetso being the Cantonese word for deals, is hyper-local, down to the level of which card earns what at which tea shop in which month. Cross-border consumer plays die of localization here, quietly and expensively. HeyMax chose differently, and the choice deserves the credit I'm giving it. What it bought was Crip, spelled KRIP. Launched in May 2022 out of the Cyberport incubator, Crip was Hong Kong's first centralized credit card deals platform. Over 6,000 deals from more than 3,000 merchants, spanning more than 480 cards from 25 issuers, with a claimed capacity to support around $7.4 billion in annual card spending. That last figure is a company claim I have no way to verify. Its App Store rating stood at 4.7 stars. Crucially, Crip had a business-to-business arm, counting Digibanks and Granted among its clients. That is proof it could sell to Hong Kong financial institutions, which is a different and harder skill than acquiring app users. And it had a founder with the right origin story, David B. Wang, a self-described credit card geek, has said Crip began when a tea shop cashier mentioned a card discount that he, the geek, didn't know existed. That itch, systematized, became the database. The deal was announced on the 23rd of July, 2025. HeyMax's first ever acquisition, terms undisclosed. My guess, and I label it as pure speculation, is a modest and largely equity-based price. 2-year-old Cyberport startups do not command large cash exits. What matters is what walked in the door. Wang became global head of loyalty partnerships and general manager for Hong Kong. By December 2025, his title read General Manager, North Asia, a widening remit worth noticing. Benjamin Quinlan, Crip's chairman, came across as a senior advisor on financial services partnerships. The Crip brand was retired, and its users were invited to re-register on HeyMax with complimentary miles. The human backstory is almost suspiciously tidy. Wang and Joe Liu share a University of Michigan alma mater. They met through partnership talks that began around the Singapore FinTech Festival, and the acquisition, in Wang's telling on the Unsensible podcast, grew organically out of a partnership discussion. His line on being acquired, quote, "It's really no different than getting married," unquote. Then the clock started. A waitlist opened in August 2025, offering 200 free max miles to joiners. It was covered enthusiastically with a disclosed referral link by the Alviator, which also set expectations honestly. Earning would run roughly 0.1 to 2 max miles per Hong Kong dollar, lower than Singapore's rates. And presciently, the blog noted that Asia Miles was not yet a transfer partner and hoped aloud that Cathay would be added. It was with choreography. Direct one-to-one transfers to Asia Miles went live on the 3rd of November, 2025, per Mile Lion, and the official launch press release landed on the 5th of November, headlined by the Cathay partnership. 2 days between pipe and press release tells you the entire launch was built around the Cathay announcement. And rightly so. In a one-program market, the Asia Miles logo is the launch. The rest of the launch package rewards a close read. More than 300 Hong Kong merchants were named, anchored by exactly the brands a local would check for. Watsons, Trip.com, Klook, Starbucks, Foodpanda, HKTV Mall, 7-Eleven, Japan Home Center. Invest HK's head of startups, Jane Chan, supplied a quote. A government blessing of no consumer consequence, but genuine business development value when knocking on institutional doors. The company said it planned to quadruple its team without stating the base. And since the whole group grew from 10 to 30 people by April 2026, I would treat that multiplication as marketing arithmetic. And one sentence in the release named Money Hero, Octopus, Preferred, and Visa as partners integrating Max Miles as part of their rewards and customer engagement strategies. That is the real strategic story, and it gets Chapter 11 to itself. I'll note here only the detail that keeps me honest. The Chinese language version of the release hedged that same claim to in discussions to cooperate, where the English said working with. At launch, the partner network was partly aspiration. Some of it later became real. Now the product question. What actually shipped in Hong Kong and how does it differ from Singapore? The answer is the acquisition's fingerprint. Singapore HeyMax is affiliate links first. Open the app, click through to a merchant, earn on the confirmed purchase. Hong Kong HeyMax launched with that channel. The independent guide at 5news.com.hk puts average affiliate earn at around 1 mile per 10 Hong Kong dollars. It also launched with an Instant Mile e-voucher channel, with the Run Hotel blog documenting HKTV mall vouchers at 50 miles per $200. But the channels with no Singapore equivalent are the payments-embedded ones. From December 2025, Mobile Octopus users could earn max miles on transit and retail payments. That was the first time in Hong Kong history that anyone earned airline miles by tapping an octopus, a fact corroborated by Octopus's own press release rather than HeyMax's alone. And from April to June 2026, the Visa card-linked commute campaign paid 1 mile per Hong Kong dollar on MTR and franchised bus rides tapped with a Hong Kong-issued Visa. Singapore has nothing like either, because Singapore HeyMax was built on affiliate rails, while Hong Kong HeyMax was built on CRIP. Even Card Maximizer, the card rewards tracking feature, predates the acquisition. It launched with Visa in Singapore in May 2024. But in Hong Kong, it sits atop CRIP's database of more than 6,000 deals, which is the difference between a tracking widget and a recommendation engine. The stacking pitch the local blogs highlighted, max miles plus card points plus merchant loyalty points on a single transaction, only works because CRIP already knew where every card's bonus categories lived. So my verdict on the check: HeyMax bought time and locality, a data asset with no local rival, institutional relationships and cyberport ecosystem standing, a native operator whose personal brand is the product's thesis, and a 3-month runway from waitlist to launch. The Series A's inclusion of Betatron, a Hong Kong-based fund, as a strategic investor 6 months later reads as doubling down on the same bet. But honesty requires the other column too. The acquisition did not buy consumers. CRIP's consumer base was evidently small. No user counts were ever published, and the brand was retired rather than leveraged. As Chapter 13 will document in uncomfortable detail, 9 months after launch, HeyMax's Hong Kong consumer footprint remains close to invisible. Roughly 20 App Store ratings, and a media record made almost entirely of syndicated press releases. What this means for HeyMax is best said plainly. The landing was the easy part done well. The KRIP acquisition solved supply. Deals, data, bank relationships, and product channels that no parachute entrant could have built. It did not and could not solve demand. Awareness, trust, habit. The shape of the acquisition also reveals what HeyMax believes about this market. It believes Hong Kong will be one business-to-business first, through institutions that embed Max Miles rather than through App Store advertising and referral codes. The open loyalty network of Chapter 11 is that belief made concrete. The invisibility documented in Chapter 13 is its cost. Whether the belief is right is, in a real sense, what the rest of this series exists to determine. Chapter 11, the Open Loyalty Network. Hong Kong is HeyMax's laboratory for a partner model that its home market has never had. Other institutions issuing Max Miles inside their own customer programs. My core claim in this chapter is simple to state. This issuance network, not the Cathay transfer deal that headlined the launch, is HeyMax's real strategic asset in Hong Kong, and it is the closest thing the company has built to a moat anywhere in the world. Think about the contrast for a moment. Singapore's HeyMax is, at its core, an affiliate machine. You click a link, you buy something, you earn miles. Hong Kong's HeyMax is becoming something structurally different. A currency that Octopus, Visa, Money Hero, and a widening circle of institutions distribute on HeyMax's behalf. Before I make that case, let me clear away a misconception, because the commissioning brief asked directly whether HeyMax operates some unique partner system in Hong Kong, and the honest answer requires killing the wrong version of the story first. There is no ambassador program. There is no franchise scheme, no city partner network, no squad of influencer ambassadors. I searched for one exhaustively, in English and in Chinese, under every plausible name and found nothing. What exists instead is quieter, and in my view far more valuable. An institutional open loyalty network in which Hong Kong companies embed Max Miles into their own rewards and engagement programs, so that HeyMax's currency reaches customers HeyMax itself has never acquired. The load-bearing sentence appears in the launch press release of the 5th of November, 2025. It names 4 partners, Money Hero, Octopus, Preferred, and Visa, who are integrating Max Miles as part of their rewards and customer engagement strategies. And here is where skeptical hygiene matters, because the Chinese language version of that same release uses softer wording. Where the English says these partners are working with HeyMax, the Chinese says they are in discussions to cooperate. Working with versus talking to. At launch, in other words, the network was partly prospective, a press release describing an intention as much as a fact. So the right test is not what the public relations copy claimed in November, but what actually went live afterward. And on that test, I will say plainly, the network has delivered more than I expected. Start with Octopus, because it is the case that changes the category. In December of 2025, for the first time in Hong Kong's history, users could earn airline miles by paying with Mobile Octopus, on the MTR, on buses, in restaurants. That is not a HeyMax claim I am taking on faith. Octopus Cards Limited put out its own press release, which is the corroboration standard I hold everything in this series to. The mechanics were promotional, 100 Max Miles for every 100 Hong Kong dollars of spend, capped, and only for a limited window, but the precedent is the point. Octopus is not a merchant. It is infrastructure, with more than 20 million cards in circulation and roughly 98% adult penetration, by its own published figures. Getting a miles-earning hook into that rail, even as a capped promotion, is something no bank, no coalition, and no cashback platform had ever done before. Visa came next and made the model legible. From April to June of 2026, HeyMax ran a card-linked commute campaign. 1 Max Mile for every Hong Kong dollar spent on the MTR, on KMB, Citibus, and Long Win buses, paid with any Hong Kong-issued Visa card via Tap to Pay. This Rides on the Visa offers platform relationship that HeyMax has held since 2024, but the Hong Kong execution is distinctive, real-time, card-linked earning on public transport, with no affiliate click anywhere in the chain. Singapore's HeyMax has nothing structurally like it. The caveats are real, and I will return to them. But notice what the campaign demonstrates. HeyMax can sit inside the payment flow itself, not just in front of the checkout page. The quieter integrations round out the picture. Money Hero, the NASDAQ-listed comparison platform, offers Max Miles as an application reward on its credit card product pages, and I verified this on the live pages themselves, which makes it the rare partner claim confirmed independently of anyone's press office. Preferred, a Hong Kong artificial intelligence recruitment startup, pays hiring referral incentives in Max Miles. Commercially, that is tiny. Conceptually, it is telling, because it shows a third party choosing Max Miles as a generic incentive currency. Then, in June of 2026, the U-Bridge went live. U, spelled Y-U-U, converting coalition points into Max Miles at a ratio of 3.6 to 1, which connects points earned on groceries and convenience spending to some 30 airline and hotel programs. And in late July of 2026, per the Moody Davitt report, Plaza Premium Group's Smart Traveler program joined as a transfer partner. Lounges and airport services, the first travel experience layer in the network. David B. Wang, the executive running all of this, has articulated the underlying thesis better than the press releases do. Open loyalty, in his formulation, means a centralized, aggregated deals database, so that every bank is an equal piece of the puzzle, HeyMax as a neutral switch, rather than anyone's captive channel. He has also answered the question every skeptic should ask first: who pays for the miles? Merchants predominantly fund them, in his telling. The miles are repackaged marketing spend, flowing to the customer instead of to an advertising network. I find that answer credible for the affiliate and merchant-funded cases. I note that it is less obviously complete for the campaign-shaped cases, where HeyMax itself appears to be subsidizing pools of miles in order to buy proof points. That distinction matters when we get to unit economics in the threats chapter. Why did this model emerge in Hong Kong and not in Singapore? Because of what HeyMax bought. The CRIP acquisition, CRIP, spelled K-R-I-P, delivered a card deals database of more than 6,000 offers, relationships with 25 issuers, bank clients in Livybank and Grantit, and a founder whose entire professional network was institutional rather than consumer. The Hong Kong product shape follows directly from that inheritance. Payments, embedded earning layered on a card deals base, versus Singapore's affiliate links first design. HeyMax did not decide one day to become an institutional issuance network. It acquired the preconditions for one and then let its new general manager do what he knew how to do. Now the audit, because my enthusiasm needs discipline. Almost everything I have just described is a campaign, not a product. The Octopus integration was a capped December promotion. Whether it returns as an always-on earn channel is unannounced. The Visa Commute Challenge had a total pool of 1 million miles, which, at the 1,000-mile per user cap, means roughly 1,000 fully served users. These are pilot-scale numbers dressed in launch-scale language. HeyMax has never published a single Hong Kong-specific user figure, not at launch, not at the Series A, not since, and the campaign caps are the closest thing we have to a proxy for how small the base may be. The network, as of August 2026, is a series of successful proofs of concept, stapled to one genuinely live integration in Money Hero and 2 transfer bridges in U and Plaza Premium. Calling it a moat today would be premature. Calling it the blueprint of a moat is, I think, exactly right. Here is why the blueprint matters strategically. Every other player in Hong Kong's rewards landscape is structurally partisan. Cathay's lifestyle stack exists to feed Asia miles. The bank's programs exist to defend card portfolios. The coalitions exist to defend retail conglomerates. ShopBack pays in its own cashback. HeyMax is the only actor whose currency gets more valuable to each partner as more partners join. Octopus's Miles perk is worth more because the miles reach 30 programs. Money Hero's application reward is worth more because the miles never expire and stack with everything else. That is a genuine, if embryonic, network effect, and neither Cathay nor ShopBack can replicate it without abandoning their own economics. Cathay cannot be neutral. ShopBack cannot issue an aspirational currency. So, what does this mean for HeyMax? The Hong Kong job for the next 18 months is conversion, turning campaign partners into rail partners. An always-on octopus earn channel, even at a modest rate, would be worth more than any conceivable marketing spend because it would put Max Miles inside the daily transaction habit of the entire city. A second and a third Money Hero-style issuance deal, a digital bank, a telco, and insurer would prove that the model repeats. And if, by the end of 2027, the partner list still reads like the launch press release plus promotions, then the Chinese version of that release in discussions will have turned out to be the honest one, and the moat was a mirage. My read is that the pieces are real, the thesis is sound, and the only open question is whether a company of roughly 30 people can execute institutional sales at this tempo. That question gets its own chapter. Chapter 12, David B. Wang. The man running HeyMax in Hong Kong is a credible, well-networked, business-to-business operator whom almost no consumer has ever heard of. My core claim in this chapter is that both halves of that sentence matter equally. David B. Wang's institutional credibility is the reason the open loyalty network from the last chapter exists at all. And his complete anonymity among the people who actually chase miles in Hong Kong is, at the same time, a limitation the company must work around, and an asset it has not yet thought to use. The commissioning brief asked who he is, what he has actually done, and how he is perceived. Here is what I could verify, what I could not, and what I make of it. First, a discipline note, because David Wang is one of the most common name collisions in the professional world, and there are at least 2 David Wangs at HeyMax itself. There is a David Wang in Singapore who works on product and growth, very likely the author of HeyMax's early Substack posts, which predate the Hong Kong story entirely. He is a different person. Everything in this chapter refers to David B. Wang, the Hong Kong-based executive who uses his middle initial consistently, and every claim traces to sources tied specifically to him. I could not find a Chinese name for him in any public source, including the Chinese language press releases. If you ever see growth loop or referral mechanics claims attributed to a David Wang of HeyMax, assume they belong to the other one. The verified arc runs like this. Wang's pre-startup career was in finance, investment banking, and venture capital by his own account on the Unsensible podcast. A third-party scrape of his LinkedIn history adds 2 employer names, Credit Suisse and Blue Pool Capital, the Hong Kong family office associated with the wealth of Alibaba's co-founders. I want to be precise about the evidentiary status here. Those 2 names come from a secondary source only. They are consistent with his self-described banking and venture arc, but they are confirmed by no press biography, no speaker page, and no primary document I could find. Treat them as probable, not established. He is a University of Michigan graduate, a fact that becomes load-bearing shortly. And he describes himself, without apparent irony, as a credit card geek and a miles junkie. In May of 2022, he launched KRIP, spelled K-R-I-P, Hong Kong's first centralized credit card deals platform, incubated at Cyberport. The founding story he tells is disarmingly small. A cashier at a tea shop mentioned a card discount he did not know existed, and he realized that an entire city of cardholders was leaving deals on the table because nobody had aggregated them. 3 years later, KRIP claimed more than 6,000 deals across 480 cards from 25 issuers, more than 3,000 merchants, roughly $7.4 billion in annual card spending supported, and bank clients in Livybank and Granted. Those numbers are all company-claimed, and none were audited, the honest caveat that applies to nearly every startup metric in this series. But 2 independent signals sit alongside them: a 4.7-star rating on the Hong Kong App Store, and the fact that HeyMax paid real money, on undisclosed terms, to buy the business in July of 2025. The route to that acquisition matters for understanding how HeyMax operates. Wang and HeyMax's chief executive, Joe Liu, share the University of Michigan as an alma mater, and they met through partnership discussions at the Singapore FinTech Festival, talks that, in Wang's telling, drifted organically from cooperation to combination. His description of the deal is the most human quote in his public record. "It's really no different," he said, "than getting married." He came aboard as global head of loyalty partnerships and general manager of Hong Kong. And by December of 2025, barely 5 months in, his title in the Octopus announcement read General Manager of North Asia. That title drift is worth noticing. It signals either genuine early success and a widened remit, or a startup's habit of inflating scope faster than substance. I lean toward the former, given what shipped in that window, but I flag it as interpretation, not fact. His public presence is thin but coherent, and every appearance sounds the same note. On the Unsensible podcast in November of 2025, his longest-form public appearance, he laid out the open loyalty thesis. A centralized deals database, so that every bank is an equal piece of the puzzle, merchants funding the miles, and a prediction that open loyalty becomes the loyalty of choice within 5 to 10 years. At the Money 2020 Asia Conference in Bangkok, in April of 2026, he argued that loyalty ultimately comes down to building an emotional connection with your users, and that artificial intelligence cannot substitute for the human relationships that keep members engaged. In July of 2026, he was the signing executive on the Plaza Premium Smart Traveler Partnership, per the Moody Davitt report. Add the press release quotes from the acquisition, the launch, and the Octopus deal, and you have essentially his entire public footprint. One podcast, one conference, a handful of press releases. That is not a criticism, it is a measurement. Now the part that the identity discipline rules of this series require me to state plainly. What could not be verified? An earlier draft circulating in my own research process claimed that Wang had worked at Cathay Pacific or at Asia Miles. I checked that claim specifically and directly, and it is not supported by any source. No biography, no speaker page, no profile anywhere lists Cathay employment. His documented arc is finance, then Crip, then HeyMax, and his only connection to Cathay is as its partnership counterpart on the November 2025 transfer deal. The confusion almost certainly arose from how heavily his name is associated with that partnership. I record it as claim checked, claim withdrawn. Likewise, as noted, the Credit Suisse and Blue Pool employment names rest on secondary sourcing, and the Crip scale metrics were never independently audited. A profile this dependent on the subject's own press releases and one podcast interview deserves exactly this much humility. How is he perceived? Here the evidence is unambiguous and a little startling. The Hong Kong Miles community, the bloggers, the forums, the hundreds of thousands of followers who take card and conversion advice from CUC, the pseudonymous blogger behind Fly for Miles, from Fly Again, and from Mr. Miles engages with HeyMax the product and has, as far as I can find, never once mentioned David Wang by name. No profile, no interview, no criticism, no endorsement. 0. His roughly 5,000 LinkedIn followers and his speaker slots place his standing squarely in the fintech and institutional circuit. The Cyberport ecosystem, the Money 2020 stage, and a chairman-grade network tie in Benjamin Quinlan, Crip's former chairman, and the former chair of the FinTech Association of Hong Kong, who moved with the acquisition to become a HeyMax senior advisor on financial services partnerships. In business-to-business rooms, Wang is known and credible. In the community his product serves, he does not exist. My honest assessment, then, as a business-to-business operator, Wang looks like precisely the right hire, arguably the single most valuable asset in the Crip acquisition. The Octopus integration, the Visa campaign, and the Money Hero issuance deal are exactly the kind of institutional sales that require someone with banking fluency, Cyberport ecosystem legitimacy, and patience for procurement cycles. All of them happened on his watch, within roughly a year. As a consumer-facing market builder, He is untested, and the evidence of the next chapter, a launch that 9 months later has produced almost no organic community footprint, sits partly on his desk. The relative newness matters too. He has been in the loyalty industry, as opposed to the card deals business, only since 2025, and his credibility rests on CRIP and the Cathay partnership, rather than on any long loyalty track record. What this means for HeyMax: the company should treat Wang's consumer anonymity as a decision to make, not a fact to accept. One option is to leave him as the institutional closer and buy consumer credibility from the influencer layer, the playbook of chapters 16 and 17. The other is to spend some of his genuine story, the tea shop cashier, the Miles junkie founder who sold his startup and stayed, on building the local public face that HeyMax so conspicuously lacks. Hong Kong's Miles scene is run by anonymous bloggers. A named, credentialed executive who shows up, answers hard questions about mistransaction claims and devaluations, and takes public accountability would be differentiated precisely because nobody else offers it. Either path can work. Leaving the choice unmade, a general manager invisible to consumers and a brand invisible to the community, is the one configuration that cannot. Chapter 13: What Hong Kong Actually Thinks. 9 months after launch, HeyMax's problem in Hong Kong is not reputation. It is invisibility. That is my core claim, and it comes with a second, sharper half. While Hong Kong has formed almost no opinion at all, a fully formed skeptical script about HeyMax already exists in Singapore, written by the region's most read Miles commentators, and it will be imported into Hong Kong the moment the company gives anyone a reason to look. This chapter is the audit of what people actually say, with the receipts. Start with the most definitive evidence I gathered anywhere in this series, because it is unusually clean. The 3 most influential Hong Kong Miles blogs run on WordPress, which means their entire archives can be searched programmatically, rather than sampled. So I checked. FlyAgain.la, the biggest reach in the niche, with roughly 643,000 Facebook followers, has published 0 posts mentioning HeyMax. Not a critical review, not a passing reference. 0, ever. Flyformiles.hk, the site run by CUC, the pseudonymous blogger who is Hong Kong's most commercially successful Miles influencer, mentions HeyMax in exactly 2 posts, both as a line item in conversion bonus roundups. In June of 2026, he noted the Max Miles to Asia Miles promotion at 1 to 1.1, an extra 10%, capped at around 3,000 miles, listed flatly alongside Accor, Hilton, and CLP. No endorsement, no caution, no referral link. And this from a man whose entire business model is negotiated referral exclusives. Mr. Miles is the same story. A designated conversion partner listing inside an Asia Miles bonus post, and nothing more. The blogs that move this market have collectively decided that HeyMax is a footnote. The grassroots layer is thinner still. On LIHKG, Hong Kong's main forum, HeyMax surfaces as a passing remark in a long-running cashback credit card thread, a poster noting, in passing, that HeyMax only supports Visa. A functional gripe inside somebody else's conversation. There is no dedicated HeyMax thread on LIHKG at all, which, for a consumer product 9 months after launch, is itself the finding. Reddit is emptier. Searches of the archived record across the Hong Kong subreddits return precisely 0 HeyMax comments. The Hong Kong App Store shows 4.0 stars from roughly 20 ratings. 20. And the visible reviews raise an eyebrow rather than settle one. 5-star entries with generic English titles, absolutely brilliant app, best way to earn miles effortlessly, text that reads like solicited or incentivized reviewing, not the voice of actual Hong Kong users. My read is that the low count is the honest signal and the 5-star gloss is noise. Media coverage completes the invisibility picture. The November 2025 launch generated broad pickup, and virtually all of it is the same media outreach press release, syndicated under identical headlines across wire-fed outlets. I found zero earned editorial coverage in the publications Hong Kong actually reads. Nothing in the South China Morning Post, nothing in HK01, nothing in Unwire or the Consumer Tech Press. Trade outlets like Marketing Interactive ran unqualified success story framing, with no analyst voice anywhere in it. Paid distribution is not perception. It is the absence of perception with a byline. Against this near vacuum, one substantive independent Hong Kong review exists, and it deserves weight precisely because it is alone. The Chinese-language site 5news.com.hk published a full working over of HeyMax in 2026, and its verdict is usefully double-edged. On value, it is fair. Roughly 1 max mile for every 10 Hong Kong dollars of ordinary spending, and genuine praise for the stacking mechanics. Properly leveraging the stacking mechanism, the reviewer wrote, genuinely accelerates accumulation, since max miles sit on top of card rewards and merchant points, rather than replacing them. But its warnings are the part HeyMax should tape to the office wall. Transaction tracking failures, what Cantonese users call lao dan, leaked orders, mistransaction claims that require tedious customer service chasing, third-party data sharing as the price of card-linked earning, and a closing caution against overspending to chase miles. When your only independent reviewer's caveats are about whether the core earning mechanism reliably works, that is the product feedback, not the marketing feedback. The warm tier beyond that is small. Run Hotel runs a labeled referral link offering 200 bonus max miles. The Flyday site covered the launch, and the expat-oriented Alviator blog endorsed the waitlist enthusiastically with a disclosed referral. That, all of it, is the Hong Kong footprint. Now cross the border, because Singapore shows what informed opinion of HeyMax sounds like once it exists. There, HeyMax is embedded in the optimizer's toolkit. MileLion, the market's reference blog, covers every program change. Reddit threads treat the redemption maths as common knowledge. The never-expiring miles are the loved feature, and the missing crease flyer transfer is the perennial gripe. But the last 2 years built a visible trust arc, and the quotes matter, because they are exactly what Hong Kong will eventually read. When HeyMax launched its paid HeyMax First Tier, a miles credit line, where users draw miles up front against future earning, a MileLion commenter delivered the line that now follows the company around. Quote, brilliant financial engineering that doesn't even require the company to have a proper banking license, unquote. Others in the same thread invoked the collapse of MilesLife, the Miles startup that folded while holding user deposits. When HeyMax devalued a core transfers by a third, on about 8 days' notice, MileLion's Aaron Wang wrote, as disappointing as this is, I can't say I'm surprised. And Sudismile, the harshest sustained critic, wrote, after the chocolate finance card's earn rate was halved, 4 months after launch, quote, I'm just not a fan of HeyMax's unsustainable promos and pump and dump way of doing things, unquote. Even the grassroots split captures the range. One Hardware Zone poster boasting that he had already earned a free economy ticket to Japan, another refusing to link his cards because, in his words, there's too much risk, wait their system to hack. 2 things about that Singapore record are worth stressing. First, it is not hostile. MileLion still covers every change, which is itself a form of respect. The community largely absolved HeyMax in the chocolate finance meltdown, blaming the partner. Believers keep citing real redemptions. The arc runs from darling to warily engaged, not to pariah. Second, and this is the strategic point, the skepticism is portable. Hong Kong's Miles readers follow Singapore's Miles media. MileLion is read in Hong Kong. The devaluations and the cash for miles sunset applied to Hong Kong users too, even if no local voice narrated them. The one-line contrast I keep returning to is this: Singapore debates whether HeyMax will stay generous. Hong Kong hasn't yet noticed it enough to debate anything. Is invisibility bad? It is certainly better than infamy, and there is a genuinely comforting reading available. No hit pieces, no scam accusations, a fair independent review, and a blank slate with the most commercially important influencers, none of whom have staked out a negative position that would later need reversing. HeyMax in Hong Kong is an unknown quantity writing Cathay's credibility, and unknown is a recoverable condition. But I do not find the comforting reading persuasive on its own for two reasons. Awareness is the whole business model. An affiliate and issuance platform earns nothing from users who have never heard of it, and 20 App Store ratings, 9 months in, suggests the funnel barely exists. And the blank slate has a fuse. The first Hong Kong-relevant devaluation or the first viral mistransaction thread on LIHKG will not be interpreted in a vacuum. It will be interpreted through the imported Singapore script, pump and dump, financial engineering, mileslife, delivered secondhand, by whichever local blogger finally decides HeyMax is worth a post. First impressions in this market may well be written by Wang's back catalog. What this means for HeyMax: the sequencing is dictated by the evidence. Fix the frictions the one honest reviewer flagged, tracking reliability above all, before spending to manufacture awareness, because scaled attention on a leaky product converts directly into the LIHKG thread you cannot delete. Then fill the vacuum deliberately, through the influencer layer mapped later in this series, before someone else fills it with the Singapore script. HeyMax currently has something rare and expiring, a major market where nobody has formed an opinion yet. The company gets to write the first draft of its own reputation in Hong Kong, but only if it writes it before its own program changes due. Chapter 14, Opportunities. Strip away the noise, and I count 5 real openings for HeyMax in Hong Kong. Devaluation resentment. The vacuum octopus left behind when it killed its own rewards program. Incumbents locked into store credit currencies. Digital banks starving for differentiation. And an influencer and content whitespace that nobody has commercially claimed. Each one is grounded in evidence from the first 4 parts of this series, rather than in wishful market sizing. And each is an opening in the strict sense, a place where the incumbent structure cannot easily respond. Let me argue them in turn, and then tell you which one I would bet on. The first opening is emotional, and it is the deepest: Asia Miles trust erosion. Cathay has devalued its award charts 3 times in 31 months. October of 2023 pushed long-haul business class redemptions up 20 to 30%. April of 2025 added 4,000 to 5,000 miles to key awards. May of 2026 added 3,000 to 4,000 more. A long-haul business redemption now costs roughly 40% more than it did in September of 2023. Fuel surcharges have risen alongside. Partner award charts have gone unpublished, and the community openly fears a slide into dynamic pricing. Meanwhile, short-haul economy actually got cheaper. Bangkok and Singapore dropped from 10,000 to 9,000 miles, which I read as Cathay deliberately steering the mass of members toward low-value burns while taxing the aspirational ones. For a city that treats chasing miles as a mainstream hobby, this is a slow-motion breach of faith with no exit. In a one-program market, the resentful collector has nowhere to defect to, except AVOs. HeyMax is structurally the hedge product, a currency that transfers one-to-one into roughly 30 airline and hotel programs, Asia Miles among them, and never expires. Nobody else in Hong Kong sells optionality. The banks sell their own cards. ShopBack sells Cathay-only conversion. The coalitions sell store credit. Every future Cathay devaluation, and the pattern says there will be more, is a free marketing event for the only multi-currency player in the market, if that player is positioned to catch the resentment when it peaks. The second opening is infrastructural, the vacuum octopus left behind. Octopus's old day rewards program was terminated in September of 2020, not 2024, as one persistent error in circulation has it, and nothing ever replaced it. Sit with what that means. The payment instrument with more than 20 million cards, roughly 98% adult penetration, and 3.5 million transactions a day, by its own published figures, has had no rewards proposition of its own for 6 years. And Octopus is visibly partner-hungry. Interoperability with Japan's PayPay in October of 2025. Merchant rewards for the elderly. Service as a funding rail inside ShopBack Pay. And, crucially, the December 2025 HeyMax promotion that made mobile octopus payments earn airline miles for the first time in Hong Kong's history, corroborated by Octopus's own press release. HeyMax has already run the proof of concept on the largest untapped rewards rail in the city. The opening is to convert that pilot into a permanent earn channel, because the first currency that rides the octopus rails, full-time, inherits a daily habit position that no app download funnel could ever buy. The third opening is a currency mismatch at the heart of the incumbency. Hong Kong's daily spend loyalty mindshare is owned by players who pay out in captive credit. You, spelled YUU, has more than 5 million members earning what amounts to supermarket scrip. MoneyBack's 3.8 million active members earn store credit with a 5-to-1 Asia miles conversion bolted on. The point pays mall dollars. HKTV Mall pays mall dollars. ShopBack, the closest structural analog, pays Cashback with a miles conversion added as a feature. Store credit is operationally sensible and aspirationally inert. It discounts the next grocery run. It does not take anyone to Tokyo. The miles-chasing psychology that part 1 of this series established runs on aspiration, and miles are the only consumer currency in Hong Kong with a dream attached. HeyMax's U-Bridge coalition points converting into max miles at 3.6 to 1 since June of 2026 is the template. HeyMax does not need to beat the coalitions at daily spend scale, which is impossible. It needs to become the aspiration layer on top of them, the switch that turns dead store credit into travel. And the incumbents cannot copy this without abandoning the captive currency economics their programs exist to serve. The fourth opening is the digital bank sector's hunger for a story. The digital banks licensed by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority collectively narrowed their losses by roughly 58% to about 1.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. ZA Bank has recorded its first profit and experiments relentlessly with campaign products. WeLab Bank is newly profitable and runs a traveler-facing global wallet that pays generic Cashback, a one-line upgrade away from paying miles. None of them can outspend the incumbent banks on card rewards, and all of them need differentiation that does not bleed capital. The proof point already exists inside the sector, and it is decisive. Mox, the standard chartered-backed digital bank, has issued 1.8 billion Asia miles since 2023 as a Cathay captive partner, demonstrating that a miles proposition moves the needle for exactly this category of bank. But Mox is spoken for. Every other digital bank that wants the same engine has effectively one open counterparty. HeyMax, which offers a white label issuance model, 30 currency optionality instead of Cathay dependence, and after Money Hero, Octopus, and Visa, a partner list that makes the procurement conversation credible. This is the most sales-shaped of the 5 openings, and the CRIP inheritance, bank clients, issuer relationships, a general manager with banking fluency, is purpose-built for it. The 5th opening is the one the last chapter proved by absence, the influencer and content whitespace. Hong Kong's miles market is uniquely mediated. Hundreds of thousands of people take instructions from CUC, the blogger behind Fly for Miles, from Fly Again, and from Mr. Miles, and not one of those channels has a commercial relationship with HeyMax. No exclusive sign-up bonus, no referral integration, no sponsored coverage. CUC, whose entire business is negotiated exclusives with banks, lists HeyMax as a bare-line item. The adjacent spaces are equally unclaimed. No large dedicated miles YouTube channel exists in Cantonese, and the Telegram Jetso channels, Jetso meaning deals, function as a free syndication layer for any giveaway-shaped promotion. The strategic fact underneath, established in the influencer research, is this. These bloggers' incomes are cyclically dependent on bank card bounty budgets, and HeyMax represents fresh, recurring, non-bank revenue that stacks on top of card earn, rather than competing with it. The first structured offer, a market-best exclusive bonus, through the right sequence of channels, buys a distribution position that, in this market, functions as the retail shelf itself. Whitespace this commercially obvious does not stay open. It stays open only until ShopBack, flush with 1 million Hong Kong users and a Cathay pipe, decides to spend on it. Ranked honestly, the influencer whitespace is the cheapest and fastest to claim. The digital bank channel is the most repeatable revenue. The currency mismatch is the most durable positioning. Devaluation resentment is the strongest demand tailwind. But the sharpest opportunity, the one I would resource first and defend hardest, is Octopus. Here is the working. Every other opening has a plausible second claimant. ShopBack can buy influencers. Cathay can sign digital banks. The coalitions can deepen their own miles bridges. Resentment helps any alternative currency. The Octopus rail is different. HeyMax is the only party that has ever put airline miles on it. The relationship is live, the integration is built, and the counterparty has publicly demonstrated appetite. An always-on Max Miles earn channel on Mobile Octopus would convert HeyMax's greatest weakness, invisibility, 20 App Store ratings, no organic footprint, into its opposite, by placing the brand inside the most frequent transaction habit in Hong Kong, the daily tap. It would be payments-embedded distribution that neither Cathay's lifestyle stack nor ShopBack's affiliate engine can replicate, because neither owns a neutral, multi-airline currency worth embedding, and it compounds every other opening. An Octopus earn channel is the giveaway-shaped content that the Jetso channels syndicate for free. It is the differentiation story a digital bank wants to join. It is the daily drip that turns devaluation resentment into an actual switching habit. If HeyMax converts one pilot into one permanent rail, the other 4 openings get easier. That is what a keystone opportunity looks like, and HeyMax is, as of August 2026, the only company standing in front of it. Chapter 15: Threats. The ways HeyMax loses Hong Kong are not vague. They are concrete, nameable scenarios, and several are already in motion. My count is 6. Cathay pulling or repricing the one-to-one transfer. ShopBack's conversion pipe, backed by a 1 million user head start. Coalition exclusivity walls going up. Unit economics that are visibly tightening already. Trust contagion imported from Singapore. And a team of roughly 30 people stretched across an expansion map that keeps growing. This chapter takes each in turn and then ranks them by likelihood times severity, because a threat list without a ranking is just anxiety. Start with the sovereign risk, because everything else is downstream of it. Hong Kong is a one-program market, and HeyMax's headline asset is the Max Miles to Asia Miles transfer at 1-to-1, restored just 2 days before the November 2025 launch. Cathay controls that pipe absolutely, and Cathay's revealed strategy should worry HeyMax. Over the last 2 years, it has opened retail bridges everywhere except through HeyMax's model. A cashback to miles conversion with ShopBack, a two-way conversion with MoneyBack, card-linked dining earn at roughly 4 Hong Kong dollars a mile, its own MilesBack shopping portal, a standard chartered co-brand, and a lifestyle stack it claims spans more than 800 partners. Cathay is systematically building first-party versions of every HeyMax earn channel. Today, HeyMax is useful to Cathay, a marginal miles buyer that deepens engagement. But the moment HeyMax gets big enough to commoditize Asia Miles earning, Cathay's incentive flips and its options are graduated. It can devalue the ratio, cap the transfers, or quietly decline to renew. Precedent cuts both ways here. Divot, the Hong Kong startup that got two-way Asia Miles convertibility, proves that Cathay will deal with small fintechs. And Divot's subsequent pivot into business-to-business payments infrastructure, its Miles product scrubbed from its own website, proves that Cathay's blessing guarantees nothing. Severity, close to terminal, because in this market the Asia Miles pipe is not a feature of the product, it functionally is the product. Likelihood over the next 2 years, moderate. Cathay gains little from killing a small partner, which is exactly why the danger peaks at the moment of HeyMax's success. Second, ShopBack. The structural comparison is uncomfortable. ShopBack entered Hong Kong in late 2022, reached 600,000 members by November of 2024, and claimed 1 million users by October of 2025. It has paid out 300 million Hong Kong dollars in cumulative cashback. It runs an in-store payment product with Octopus as a funding rail. It holds a MasterCard exclusive. And the direct hit, it now converts cashback into Asia miles inside its own app, at 7 miles per Hong Kong dollar, an implied cost of about 1.43 Hong Kong cents per mile. For the median Hong Kong consumer who wants Asia miles from online shopping, ShopBack's pitch is now roughly HeyMax's pitch, delivered by a brand a million locals already use, against HeyMax's unpublished, and by every proxy small local base. The mitigations are real: cashback first DNA, a single airline against HeyMax's 30-currency breadth, conversion friction, and group finances that limit aggression. A 24% layoff round in March of 2024, full-year revenue slightly down at about $129.4 million, profit driven by fair value gains rather than operations, and total equity still negative at about $230.3 million. But a wounded competitor with 1 million users can still smother a healthy one with 20 App Store ratings. Likelihood: high, it is already happening. Severity: moderate, because ShopBack narrows HeyMax's differentiation rather than severing it. Third, coalition walls. The U-Bridge is HeyMax's best distribution asset, and the competitor's file put the caveat perfectly. It is a moat only for as long as Cathay doesn't sign you directly. MoneyBack already went to Cathay for its two-way conversion. The point remains closed, and coalition operators answer to conglomerate owners for whom exclusivity is a phone call. If Cathay offered DFI a direct U to Asia Miles pipe, HeyMax's aspiration layer strategy loses its flagship overnight. Likelihood: moderate. Severity: significant but survivable, it amputates a channel rather than the product. Fourth, and this is the threat HeyMax controls and is currently failing: unit economics. The tightening arc is documented and relentless. The April 2025 redemption overhaul raised minimums from 1,000 miles to 10,000 and suspended instant transfers. The June 2026 sunset of cash for miles removed 17 transfer partners. The Accor devaluation went from 1-to-1 to 3-to-2, roughly a third, on about 8 days' notice. And the paid HeyMax first tier, a miles credit line, at 2.3 to 3 cents per mile in access fees, reads like a company monetizing its own float. Each step was individually defensible. The pattern says the free miles engine costs more than it earns, and HeyMax's 5 times growth claims and $6 million run rate are company-claimed and unaudited. The Hong Kong-specific danger is timing. Singapore absorbed the tightening after years of banked goodwill. Hong Kong would absorb it with none. A devaluation cycle arriving mid-adoption doesn't disappoint Hong Kong users. It simply confirms that they were right to ignore the product. Likelihood: high, the arc is observed fact, not forecast. Severity: high and compounding. Fifth, the contagion channel that turns threat 4 into a narrative. Singapore's skeptical script is written, quotable, and one hyperlink away. The Mile Lion commenter's line, quote, brilliant financial engineering that doesn't even require the company to have a proper banking license, unquote. The Miles Life comparisons, the Miles startup that folded while holding user deposits, and Sudis Miles pump and dump verdict, delivered after a partner card's earn rate was halved 4 months after launch. Hong Kong's Miles bloggers read Singapore's Miles media. The first local journalist or blogger who decides HeyMax merits scrutiny will find the entire case pre-assembled. Likelihood: high, conditional on any local trigger event. Severity: moderate on its own, but it is a multiplier on every other threat because it converts incidents into indictments. Sixth, the mundane one, capacity. HeyMax was about 30 people as of April 2026, spread across Singapore and Hong Kong, hiring in Manila and Kuala Lumpur, with a stated roadmap of Japan, Taiwan, and Australia by the end of 2026, and a target of 1 million users regionally. Hong Kong is a market that demands institutional sales cycles, Cantonese language community management, and influencer relationships, none of which survive on a campaign-only attention budget. The Wang title drift from General Manager of Hong Kong to General Manager of North Asia cuts both ways, a wider remit for the company's best institutional operator is also less of him for Hong Kong. Likelihood: high. Severity: quiet. This is the threat that doesn't kill HeyMax in Hong Kong so much as ensure that nothing else ever gets finished. Now the ranking by likelihood times severity. First place, and it is not close, the compound of threats 4 and 5, tightening economics, narrated by imported skepticism. Both components are near certain. Together, they poison the well HeyMax must drink from before any scale exists. Second, Cathay repricing or pulling the transfer, lower probability, but the severity is absolute, and its probability rises with HeyMax's success, which is the cruelest possible structure. Third, ShopBack already in motion, capping HeyMax's addressable mindshare. Fourth, team dilution, the silent enabler of everything above. Fifth, coalition walls. If I had to compress the whole chapter into one sentence for HeyMax's board, it would be this: the external kill shot is Cathay, but the likelier death is self-inflicted. A company whose economics force it to devalue its own promise, faster than a skeptical, well-documented region can be persuaded to believe it. So the sharpest threat, the one I would wargame first, is Cathay concentration. Not because it is the most probable, the self-inflicted spiral is, but because it is the one scenario with no recovery path. Devaluations can be paced. ShopBack can be outpositioned. Teams can be hired. Coalitions can be rebridged. But if Cathay reprices or closes the Asia Miles pipe, HeyMax in Hong Kong reverts to a shopping portal, earning a currency locals never natively wanted, in a one-program city whose one program just declared its surplus. Every quarter that HeyMax operates here without reducing its Cathay dependence, by making fly anywhere and the 30-partner breadth genuinely loved, by embedding in octopus rails that Cathay doesn't control, is a quarter spent building on a bridge it doesn't own. The whole strategy chapter that closes this series is, in one sense, an answer to exactly that problem. Chapter 16, The Influencer Map. Here is the fact this chapter is organized around. The Hong Kong Miles market is mediated by 4 blogger brands with a combined Facebook reach of roughly 1.5 million people, and as of August 2026, not one of them has a commercial relationship with HeyMax. 2 mention it in passing, as one Asia Miles transfer partner among a dozen. 1 has never mentioned it at all, not once, and I know that because I checked the blog's WordPress API directly rather than trusting search results. If Chapter 13 established that HeyMax's Hong Kong problem is invisibility, this chapter names the people who control visibility, describes how each of them actually works, and puts a price on them. First, why this layer matters so much here. Hong Kong's Miles culture is blogger-mediated to a degree Singapore's simply is not. Chasing miles is a mainstream hobby, practiced through multi-card juggling, and the juggling instructions come from a small set of trusted intermediaries who negotiate directly with the banks. When a Hong Kong bank wants card applications, it does not just buy advertising. It cuts an exclusive welcome bonus deal with a blogger, so that readers who apply through that blogger's link get more than readers who apply cold. Sit with that structure for a moment, because it is the single most important thing to understand before spending a marketing dollar in this market. These influencers are not sponsored content. They are a distribution channel carrying negotiated product. Start at the anchor. CUC, the pseudonymous blogger behind Fly for Miles.hk, has run the site since 2013. He is anonymous by brand. An HKU accounting and finance graduate who spent a year at a Big Four firm before quitting to blog full-time, and who, by his own About page, once held 32 credit cards simultaneously and redeemed 13 sets of award tickets in a single year. His reach, as of this research, roughly 507,000 Facebook likes, about 128,000 followers on Instagram, and around 38,500 on Threads. When he bought a flat for 136 million Hong Kong dollars, Sing Tao's property desk called him reputedly Hong Kong's most profitable influencer, and his advertising fee is reported at over 100,000 Hong Kong dollars per campaign. Treat both figures as media reported rather than audited. but they are directionally believable because his business model is genuinely lucrative. He negotiates exclusive extra sign-up bonuses with Citibank, DBS, HSBC, American Express, BEA, and others, so applying through CUC pays the reader more, not just him. Layer on a giveaway culture. He marked 500,000 Facebook likes by giving away 500,000 miles, and you have the market's highest trust, highest-priced conversion machine. His HeyMax record? 2 line-item mentions. His June 2026 roundup of Asia Miles conversion promotions lists HeyMax's 1-to-1.1 transfer bonus among a dozen partners, and his Qatar Avios guide lists it as a transfer route. No referral link, no dedicated post, no opinion. He knows the product exists, treats it as legitimate, and earns nothing from it, which, for a man who monetizes everything, is itself a statement about how little HeyMax has offered him. The biggest raw reach in the niche belongs to somebody else. FlyAgain.la is an anonymous team brand established in 2011, and its Facebook page counts roughly 643,000 followers, ahead of CUC. FlyAgain is not a personality. It is a machine. Multiple posts a day, cheap fares, package deals, airfare-style bargains, Asia Miles promotions. Its trust currency is speed, volume, and price accuracy, not voice. It also owns 2 assets the pure blogs lack. One is a community Facebook group, the FlyAgain Flying Club, where members trade redemption stories and cabin reviews. The other is a sideline selling exclusive Asia Miles hotel packages. Its monetization beyond that is partly inferred. The card guides imply bank affiliate links. The travel links imply online travel agency commissions, so label that an estimate. Its HeyMax record is the starkest in the market. 0 posts, ever. A sweep of the full archive through the WordPress API returns nothing. The blog with the biggest reach in Hong Kong's miles niche has never found HeyMax worth a single deal alert. The third name is the credibility play. Mr. Miles has run MrMiles.hk since 2017. He is semi-anonymous but verifiable. A practicing Hong Kong CPA with a corporate finance background who grew up in public housing, according to an interview with the free newspaper AM 730. His reach, 270,000 plus on Facebook, 120,000 plus on Instagram, and, unusually for this niche, an email list of some 30,000 subscribers. His positioning is accountant-grade rigor. He personally tests redemptions, runs an editorial team, and operates a no-victims pledge, under which his staff chase banks on readers' behalf when applications go wrong. In July 2026, the Hong Kong Institute of CP has formally made his site an official member benefits partner, an institutional endorsement no other Miles blogger holds. And here is the detail that matters most for this series. In June 2026, he launched his own blogger-run rewards platform, his Lei Seung reward scheme, in which applying for financial products through him earns points redeemable for FPS cash rebates and vouchers. That is a proto-HeyMax, loyalty productized on top of card applications. It makes him simultaneously the most structurally compatible partner in the market because he already believes in the mechanics and the clearest channel conflict risk because HeyMax now overlaps his own product. He has never covered HeyMax beyond a conversion promo line item. Fourth, FlyAsia, operated by Summarize Limited. A team brand rather than a personality, built around structured comparison tables, cards by airline program, cards by bank, with hands-on tested positioning. It has the most diversified monetization of the 4. Card and travel affiliates, paid guides at 267 Hong Kong dollars, side tools, and a notable emigration vertical serving Hong Kongers who have moved to Britain but kept their cards, the Avios collecting diaspora segment. Follower counts are not published on the site, and I could not verify them this pass, so I will not invent them. No HeyMax coverage found. Below the Big 4 sits the warm tier, and it is warmer than you might expect. Run Hotel runs a labeled HeyMax referral post carrying a branded link that pays readers 200 bonus max miles. As far as I can establish, the only live influencer commercial relationship HeyMax has in Hong Kong. Flyday.hk, with an Instagram following of around 137,000 at Snapshot, published a dedicated launch introduction. And 5news.com.hk wrote the one substantive independent Hong Kong review in existence. It is fair-minded. It credits roughly 1 mile per 10 Hong Kong dollars of ordinary spend and praises the stacking mechanics, while warning about mistransaction claims, what Cantonese users call lao don, leaked orders, meaning purchases that fail to track and force a tedious customer service chase, along with third-party data sharing and the temptation to overspend for miles. On YouTube, a micro-creator who goes by HK Cashback Sister, at around 4,000 subscribers by her own video titles, covers exactly this territory. 2 structural features of the map complete the picture. The first is the Telegram Jetso layer, Jetso being Cantonese slang for deals. Channels like Jetso Today and Jetso Bear that syndicate any credit card or miles promotion within hours. These are not relationship partners. They are a free distribution grid, and anything shaped like a giveaway propagates through them automatically. The second is the YouTube whitespace. My searches found no large, dedicated Cantonese miles channel. The expertise lives in blogs, Facebook, and Telegram. The adjacent mainstream option is Tours Pitt, Hong Kong's travel YouTuber, with roughly 1.1 million subscribers. He has appeared in miles-themed content, but he is not an endemic miles creator. He is the only road to 7-figure video reach, and he will be priced like it. So who actually moves the market and who is overpriced? My read runs like this. CUC converts, his exclusive bonus model is application-level trust, the closest thing Hong Kong has to a loyalty distribution monopoly. Flyagain reaches the cheapest large audience because its format is a fire hose that needs feeding rather than a personality that needs courting. Mr. Miles legitimizes, his CPA brand and his email list reach the affluent professionals who actually fly business class. FlyAsia ranks utility integration rather than endorsement. And overpriced, at least as a first move, Tours Pitt, because a hero video pointed at a product with 20 App Store ratings converts fame into confusion. CUC himself is overpriced too, if approached prematurely, because his price assumes the best offer in market, and HeyMax cannot yet credibly make one. What this means for HeyMax is almost embarrassingly simple. The most influential commercial voices in its category are unclaimed by HeyMax, and as far as my research can establish, largely by ShopBack too. The market's entire trust infrastructure is available for hire. Its cheapest tier is already warm. And its most expensive node has publicly demonstrated, through a decade of bank exclusives and one high-dollar fintech campaign, exactly what he responds to. The next chapter is about how to work that map in the right order, because the order, it turns out, is most of the strategy. Chapter 17, Working the Map. My core claim, Hong Kong's miles influencer layer is commercially unclaimed, and the leverage sits with whoever moves first and structures deals around the one economic fact that governs every blogger on the map. Their income is cyclically dependent on bank card sign-up bounties. HeyMax can be the fresh, recurring, non-bank revenue line that stacks on top of that business instead of competing with it. That framing, more than any budget number, decides whether this channel turns out cheap or expensive. Start with the economics because everything follows from them. The big Hong Kong miles bloggers earn the bulk of their income from bank welcome offer bounties. A reader applies for a card through their link, the bank pays. That income has 2 structural weaknesses. It is cyclical. When bank marketing budgets tighten, bounties shrink. And it is content constrained because a blogger can only write so many posts about welcome offers that have not changed. Flat offers starve the machine of new news. HeyMax's pitch lands directly on both weaknesses. A rotating calendar of merchant promotions is literally content supply, a post a week that is not another recycled card guide. And referral revenue from a loyalty platform is a non-bank income line that does not disappear when the card bounty cycle turns. Remember David B. Wang's own articulation of the model. merchants predominantly fund the miles, which means influencer exclusives can be paid substantially in bonus miles rather than cash, a currency HeyMax mints, and one that bloggers' readers happily consume. There is one positioning rule that must never be broken, and I want to state it before the sequence. Max miles must always be framed as stacking on top of card earn, never replacing it. The triple dip framing, max miles, plus credit card points, plus merchant loyalty points, all on the same transaction, is already how the warm tier sites present the product. If CUC or Mr. Miles ever comes to see HeyMax as competing for the same bank wallet that funds their bounties, they will price it as a threat. Or worse, write about it as one. Positioned as a stack, HeyMax makes every existing card guide slightly more valuable. Positioned as a substitute, it makes an enemy of everyone whose living depends on card applications. Now the sequence, which I take from the engagement logic in my influencer research and endorse with one hardening. Fix the product before buying the audience. Step 1 is the warm tier. Run Hotel, which already runs a labeled referral link paying readers 200 bonus max miles. Flyday, which covered the launch. And 5 News, which wrote the market's only substantive independent review. Deepen these first. Upgrade flat referral links to tiered bonuses, hand them promo exclusives, keep the always-on coverage flowing. But the real value of the warm tier is diagnostic. The 5 News review flagged 4 frictions. Mistransaction claims, tracking failures that force customer service chases, third-party data sharing, click-through friction before every purchase, and the honest objection that cash is more flexible than miles for people who do not travel. Those 4 criticisms are a preview of exactly what the Tier 1 names will probe, because bloggers with reputations test before they endorse. Business development should not book a meeting with CUC until it can answer all 4 with a straight face. The warm tier is where you rehearse. Step 2 is Fly Again, and it is the best value on the map. Roughly 643,000 Facebook followers, reachable through the lowest friction deal in the niche. Fly Again's machine publishes anything that is genuinely a deal daily. HeyMax should become a standing supplier, a steady drip of merchant promotions packaged in Fly Again's native format, merchant, rate, deadline, plus a standard affiliate link. No exclusivity theatrics. No personality management. My read is that they would accept conventional referral terms because their model needs daily inventory more than it needs any single advertiser. The extra play is their community Facebook group, the Fly Again Flying Club. Redemption showcases, real members actually flying on max miles, seeded into that group would put HeyMax inside the community conversation that the pure broadcast channels can never reach. Step 3, run in parallel once the product frictions are demonstrably fixed, is Mr. Miles. The credibility play and the most delicate deal on the map. What he sells is accountant-grade verification, so what HeyMax should offer is exactly that. An audited walkthrough, verified in his language, in which he personally runs money through the platform, transfers to Cathay, books the redemption, and publishes the receipts. Funded by HeyMax, but editorially his. Attached to it, 2 structural commitments. First, a dedicated customer service escalation channel with a service-level agreement covering his readers tracking failures, because his no victims pledge means every mistransaction complaint lands on his desk, not HeyMax's. Second, and more ambitiously, a bridge between his own lay Seung member points and max miles. That last piece matters strategically. His Blogger-run rewards platform, launched in June 2026, is a proto-HeyMax. A points bridge co-ops it, turning the one influencer who could write the most credible teardown in Hong Kong into an integrated partner with aligned economics. Snubbing him or treating him as just another media buy risks the opposite outcome. Expect him to demand accuracy control and structured commercial terms rather than a one-off fee. Give him both. Step 4 is CUC, deliberately last and deliberately biggest. His model, demonstrated across a decade of bank deals and the high-dollar fintech campaign, is exclusivity he can brand as his own. Readers get more by applying through him than any other way. He will not run a second-best offer, which is precisely why he comes last. HeyMax should approach him only when it can put the market's best sign-up bonus behind his code and mean it. The package that fits his demonstrated behavior, an above-market exclusive welcome bonus, available through his code only, a giveaway pool he can theatrically distribute in the style of his 500,000-mile celebration, and per sign-up referral economics on top. Expect a flat fee as well. His reported rate exceeds 100,000 Hong Kong dollars per campaign, and expect demands for creative control. Pay it. If the warm tier proved the funnel and Fly Again built the awareness, CUC is the conversion event. One campaign at his reported rate costs less than a month of bus-side advertising, while carrying infinitely more trust. Around the sequence, 2 cheap parallel motions. First, design every consumer promotion to be jet-swayable. A simple hook, a clear deadline, a no-purchase entry route, so that the Telegram deal channels, Jetso Today, Jetso Bear, and their peers syndicate it automatically for free. The Octopus December campaign and the Visa Commute Challenge both had this shape. That should be policy, not accident. Second, seed the YouTube whitespace now, while it costs nothing. The micro creators, HK Cashback Sister, the small Cantonese Miles Course channels, would accept modest deals, and owning Miles content on YouTube before anyone else does is a land grab measured in thousands of dollars, not millions. Tor's Pit and his million-plus subscribers wait at the end of this road, not the beginning. One hero video, commissioned only after the base exists to convert mainstream curiosity into signups. How do you know it is working? This channel is unusually measurable, and I would hold it to numbers. Every relationship carries a coded referral link, so cost per acquired user is computable per blogger and comparable against the Octopus and Visa campaign benchmarks. The leading indicators are observable from the outside, which is convenient because they are the same instruments I used in Chapter 13 to prove the invisibility. The WordPress API mention counts on the Big Four blogs. The Hong Kong App Store rating count crawling up from its dismal 20 or so. The appearance of a dedicated LIHKG thread. The first dedicated post, not a line item, a post on any Big Four blog. And my falsifiable marker. If, by the middle of 2027, the Big Four still show no commercial HeyMax relationship, then this chapter's thesis that the map was claimable will have been tested and failed, and the cause will be execution, not availability. What this means for HeyMax. The whole map, warm tier through CUC, with the Jetso layer thrown in free, plausibly costs less for a year than a single mass media campaign. And unlike mass media, it deposits trust where Hong Kong actually keeps it. Label that an estimate, the precise asks will surface in negotiation. But the direction is not in doubt. The influencer layer is the cheapest distribution HeyMax will ever be offered in Hong Kong. It is available because nobody else has bought it. And every month it stays unclaimed is a month ShopBack could claim it instead. Chapter 18, Banks, Digibanks, and Financial Services. My core claim, in Hong Kong financial services, HeyMax should stop dreaming about the big three and work the second tier. The banking market splits cleanly into giants with no reason to open their walls, useful only as affiliate relationships, and, beneath them, a band of mid-tier issuers and newly profitable digital banks that need exactly what HeyMax sells. A travel reward story they cannot economically build themselves. The deals available in that second tier are smaller than the deals of business development fantasy, but they are signable within quarters, not years, and they compound. First, the walls briefly, because Chapter 7 built this case in full. HSBC is not a prospect. It is a competitor with a captive audience. Its Reward Plus app converts reward cash at $1 to 20 miles across 19 airline and hotel programs, mostly instantly. That is a mini HeyMax operating inside the bank's own app, and one that keeps adding partners. Standard Chartered is Cathay's co-brand home. Its Cathay MasterCard family is the closest thing Hong Kong has to an official Asia Miles card, and a bank whose Miles strategy is already spoken for will not adopt a second currency. CD keeps its thank you path deliberately narrow, 12 points to a mile, a minimum of 18,000 points, and a fee of 200 Hong Kong dollars per transfer. That friction annoys collectors, but Citi has no need to fix it through a Singapore startup. The realistic relationship with all three is HeyMax as media. Card acquisition, affiliate deals, Max Miles bonuses for approved applications. The same roster Money Hero sits on, and it is worth noting that the informal version already exists. HeyMax's own blog writes HSBC transfer guides, which is to say it is already in HSBC's acquisition funnel, unpaid. Formalizing that into bounty relationships is unglamorous, immediate revenue. DBS is the partial exception among the incumbents. Its Hong Kong miles path is clunky and fee-laden. 48 DBS dollars buys 1,000 miles across just 4 airline partners, plus a travel booking portal. Its Hong Kong unit is a challenger that needs differentiation, and the cultural fit with a Singapore platform is real. A fee-free rail from DBS dollars into Max Miles is a genuine upgrade story, and a deal inked regionally in Singapore could extend here. I would rate it medium-high and slow. Now the soft targets, in the order I would call them. Dah Sing Bank is the purest case in the market. It is a mid-tier local issuer competing on commodity cashback. An unlimited 1% rebate card is the flagship, with no miles currency, no airline relationships, and no realistic path to building either. Every one of its competitors has a travel story. Dah Sing has a percentage. It is also small enough to move at deal speed rather than committee speed. The shape of the deal: Max Miles as a rebate option on its cards, or a lightweight co-brand, with HeyMax supplying the entire airline conversion backend, roughly 30 transfer programs for the cost of one integration. My research flagged a historical Avio's co-brand as unverified, so I will not lean on it. The present tense case does not need it. Ian Credit Service is the most thematically perfect. An independent listed issuer, its own profit and loss, its own board, none of the parent bank politics that slow everyone else, with a mass-market card base whose defining trait is Japan affinity, and a rewards catalog of goods and vouchers that feels a decade old. Recall from Chapter 1 what Hong Kong does with Japan. 1.45 million resident visits in the first 7 months of 2025, above pre-COVID levels. A conversion from Ian bonus points into Max Miles, aimed explicitly at Japan-bound travelers and wrapped in joint Japan travel campaigns, is a pitch that writes itself. And Ian's independence means the counterparty can actually say yes. Hang Seng is the interesting maybe. Its Power card pays a currency called Plus Fund Dollars, and my research found no miles path out of that currency at all, a gap worth flagging plainly. Its first travel card, launched in 2024, pays rebates on travel categories. Cashback dressed as travel. A bank whose travel proposition has no miles in it, in the most miles-obsessed city in Asia, has an obvious hole, and Max Miles fills it without Hang Seng having to build a single airline deal. The obstacle is upstream. HSBC majority owns Hang Seng, and the parent has its own rewards empire to protect. Winnable if an internal sponsor emerges, governance slow otherwise. File it with Livy Bank, backed by a BOC consortium, running mission-style gamified rewards with no aspirational currency, and notably one of the 2 named bank clients of KRIP, spelled K-R-I-P, which means David B. Wang's team has an existing relationship to reactivate. Both are opportunistic plays. Take the meeting when it is offered. Do not build the plan around them. Then the digital banks, where the sector context matters as much as any single name. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority formally renamed virtual banks to digital banks in October 2024, a small signal of mainstreaming, and the economics have turned. Aggregate sector losses narrowed by roughly 58% to about 1.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. ZA Bank posted the sector's first profit. WeLab and Mox reached roughly break-even, and Airstar re-emerged as ELE Bank under Fudu's control. That inflection is the pitch. Banks that just reached profitability need retention and engagement spending that shows a return. Banks still losing money need differentiation they cannot afford to build. Miles as an engagement currency, no airline negotiations, no float, campaign-sized commitments serves both. And the proof point already exists, which is the delicious part. MOX is Cathay Captive, an unlimited Asia Miles card, instant miles on time deposits, and, by its own account, 1.8 billion Asia Miles issued since late 2023. MOX is therefore not winnable. It is effectively Cathay's banking arm. But it has done HeyMax an enormous favor. It has proven, at scale, in public, that miles-on banking works in Hong Kong. Every other digital bank has watched MOX ride Asia Miles to break-even while being unable to copy it, because Cathay has one banking partner, and it is taken. HeyMax's pitch to the rest of the sector is one sentence long. The Miles strategy works, MOX proved it, and we are how you run it without Cathay's permission. The prime target is WeLab Bank. Newly profitable, claiming sector-leading revenue, and running a traveler-facing product, its global wallet debit card is pitched squarely at overseas spending. That rewards users in generic 1% to 2% cashback. A travel product paying non-travel rewards is a one-line upgrade. Global Wallet earns max miles on overseas spend. The counterparty understands regional fintech partnerships, and the brand logic is seamless because the customer is already a traveler. ZA Bank is the campaign play rather than the platform play. Over 1 million users, first profit banked, and a demonstrated habit of experimenting with reward mechanics, ShopBack fractional share rebates, power draw lottery rebates. A Miles Back month powered by Max Miles is exactly the kind of stunt ZA runs, and a campaign needs no permanent integration to start. The obstacle is positioning. ZA sells itself as an investment bank for the masses, not a travel brand, which is why I would pitch it as a limited campaign and let the redemption data argue for permanence. Across all of these, the deal shape ladder matters more than any single logo. Campaign-level miles promotions are the wedge, lowest commitment, fastest signature, and they generate the usage data that justifies the next rung. Then Max Miles as an in-app redemption option. Then a standing points conversion partnership. And then, at the top, card-linked or account-linked earn, the Octopus and Visa mechanics of Chapter 11 applied to a bank's own rails. Affiliate acquisition bounties flow throughout because HeyMax is also media. Start every relationship one rung lower than ambition suggests. Honesty about the base rate. No Hong Kong bank has yet opened its rewards program to a third-party miles aggregator, and my winnability rankings are analyst judgment, not sourced fact. The nearest precedents are adjacent, not identical. Money Hero issuing Max Miles as application rewards, Livy and Grantit as Cripps business clients, the club converting points to Crease Flyer. Someone has to be first, and first will take longest. What this means for HeyMax, the financial services strategy is not one deal but a portfolio. Affiliate money from the giants, now. A DOS Sing or Ian conversion deal as the proof case. A WeLab integration or a ZA campaign as the digital bank beachhead. MOX cited in every room as the evidence, and DBS worked patiently through Singapore. None of these alone changes the company's trajectory. But 2 or 3 of them, live within a year, would make Max Miles something no walled garden can ever be. The Miles currency that works across banks. That, every bank an equal piece of the puzzle, as Wang puts it, is the entire thesis, applied to the hardest industry first. Chapter 19, Transport Daily Needs and the Rank 10. My core claim, the single best partnership available to HeyMax in Hong Kong is not a bank at all. It is HKT's The Club, and behind it queues a set of transport rails and daily needs brands that, taken together, would put Max Miles inside the routines Hong Kong people actually live in. This chapter works through that queue, and it ends with my ranked 10, because a strategy that will not commit to an order is not a strategy. Start with the telco and with why it leads. The Club is HKT's loyalty program. Free to join, open even to people who are not HKT customers, earning club points on CSL, 1010, Netvigator, and Now TV bills, and across a merchant network. What makes it exceptional is behavioral. The Club is Hong Kong's most partnership-active loyalty operator. It launched a conversion from club points into Crease Flyer miles in 2024. It joined a 6 telco cross-border rewards alliance spanning Singtel, AIS, Globe, Optus, Taiwan Mobile, and Telkomsel. It tied up with MOX. This is a program that has already decided points should convert into miles and has already executed the plumbing. So the pitch is not believe in conversion. The pitch is multiply it. Club points today reach one airline. Through Max Miles, they reach roughly 30. And there is a sharper edge for HeyMax itself. Max Miles famously has no crease flyer path, the perennial gripe in Singapore, aired in every Mile Lion comment thread. A club partnership roots around that gap at the network level. The combined proposition spans crease flyer through the club's existing rail and Cathay through HeyMax's, covering both of the currencies Hong Kong actually argues about. The obstacle: the club harbors platform ambitions of its own and may read HeyMax as a rival. The framing must be infrastructure. HeyMax as the airline conversion backend that makes club points more valuable, not a competing storefront. The fastest close on the board is Klook. Hong Kong founded in 2014, now filing toward a New York IPO, an affiliate native to its bones, its entire growth engine runs on creator and affiliate economics, and its rewards revamp of June 2025 introduced Klook Cash and membership tiers. Book on Klook through HeyMax, earn Max Miles. That is a standard merchant deal of the kind HeyMax already runs, signable in weeks. And it delivers something disproportionate to its size: a marquee, genuinely local logo for a company that Hong Kong currently reads, when it reads it at all, as a Singapore import. Then the rails. MTR Mobile has passed 6 million registered users, per MTR's own pages, and MTR Points is no longer a closed shop. HSBC Reward Cash already converts into MTR Points, which proves the rails open for outside currencies. What MTR Points lacks is aspiration. Its catalog is vouchers and merchandise. Converting MTR Points into Max Miles gives the commuter program a travel dream at its redemption tier, and gives HeyMax an earned surface that touches nearly every resident of the city. The deeper logic: MTR majority owns Octopus, so one patient corporate relationship potentially unlocks two doors. And Octopus itself remains the deepest prize. 20 million plus cards, roughly 98% adult penetration, 3.5 million daily transactions by its own published figures, and a demonstrated hunger for partners. The PayPay interoperability deal with Japan, the elderly merchant rewards scheme, serving as ShopBack Pay's funding rail, and, of course, the December 2025 HeyMax promotion that made Mobile Octopus the first place in Hong Kong where transit payments earned airline miles. Since Octopus's Old Day rewards program was terminated in September 2020, Octopus has had no loyalty currency of its own. That is a vacuum, and HeyMax has already stepped into it once. But Octopus is MTR-owned and institutionally conservative. Converting a capped promo into a permanent earn layer is a 12 to 18-month enterprise sale. Start it now, precisely because it is slow. Daily needs next. Food delivery is a post-war landscape. Deliveroo exited Hong Kong on the 7th of April, 2025, selling its assets to Foodpanda, and Meituan's Kita holds roughly 44% of the market on subsidy economics that Foodpanda's parent cannot match. A player that cannot win a discount war needs a different axis, and Foodpanda has one asset Kita lacks: Pandapro, a paid subscription. Attaching Max Miles to Pandapro orders converts a coupon product into a travel reward story that a Meituan subsidiary cannot quickly copy. And desperation, commercially speaking, is a wonderful accelerant. CLP offers the strangest, and perhaps the most PR-fertile, angle. Its gamified green programs pay Eco and Domio points for energy efficiency, and save energy, earn miles toward travel is an ESG story no competitor is telling. CLP moves slowly, but it demonstrably budgets for engagement. And City Super deserves a quiet phone call. Its loyalty program is in flux. The current app is being suspended in early 2026, with points force converted, and a program reset at an affluent, travel-obsessed grocer is precisely the moment a partner-powered relaunch gets a hearing. What about the coalition giants? Chapter 5's answer stands. The 5 million plus members of U, spelled Y, U, and MoneyBack's 3.8 million are first-wave locked. Coalition exclusivity makes Welcome or Watson's unreachable directly, and the coalitions themselves are long-cycle enterprise deals. But two facts say the walls have doors. The June 2026 bridge from U points into Max Miles exists, converting at 3.6 to 1. And MoneyBack now runs a two-way Asia Miles conversion at 5 to 1, reported rather than primary confirmed, so treat it accordingly, which tells you the coalitions themselves have concluded that store credit needs a travel valve. Year 2 conversations, both. Year 1 earns the credibility they will demand. Ride-hailing I park entirely. Uber absorbed HK Taxi in April 2025 and launched Uber One in May, but Uber's loyalty partnerships are decided regionally, not in Hong Kong. So the ranked 10. My ranking, winnability times strategic value, analysis rather than sourced fact. Number 1. HKT's The Club. The most partnership-active loyalty operator in Hong Kong already converts points to KrisFlyer. Max Miles multiplies its one airline rail into 30 and plugs HeyMax's own KrisFlyer gap. Number 2, WeLab Bank, newly profitable with a traveler-facing global wallet paying generic cashback. Miles on overseas spend is a one-line upgrade. Number 3, Klook, Hong Kong-founded, pre-IPO, affiliate native, the fastest close on the board and a marquee local logo. Number 4, Ian Credit, an independent listed issuer with a Japan-obsessed card base and catalog, rewards a decade stale. A Japan-bound miles conversion sells itself. Number 5, Da Sing Bank, mid-tier, cashback-only, zero-mile story, and small enough to sign at deal speed. Number 6, Foodpanda Hong Kong, losing a subsidy war it cannot win. Pandapro with Max Miles is a differentiation Cathay cannot quickly copy. Number 7, ZA Bank, 1 million-plus users and a habit of reward experiments, StockBack, power draw. A miles-back campaign is native to its playbook. Number 8, the MTR, 6 million registered app users and conversion rails already open to reward cash. Max Miles adds the aspiration its catalog lacks, and it unlocks Octopus upstream. Number 9, Octopus. The deepest value on the board, but MTR-owned conservatism makes the permanent integration a 12 to 18-month enterprise sale. Keep feeding it campaigns in the meantime. Number 10, Livy and Hang Seng as opportunistic tide plays. Livy's mission rewards could pay out Max Miles cheaply, and the old Crip relationship helps. Hang Seng's travel card lacks real miles. Both are governance slow. 2 disciplines complete the list. First, the deal-shape menu from the last chapter applies everywhere. Lead with campaign-level promotions, cheapest to sign, fastest to prove, then graduate to redemption options, standing conversions, and finally linked earn. The Octopus arc is the template. Promo first, permanence argued from data. Second, respect the deprioritized list as firmly as the ranked one. Mox is Cathay captive. It serves as the proof point, not the prospect. The big 3 banks are affiliate channels per Chapter 18. Alipay HK and WeChat Pay HK are ecosystem captive. Cathay is Meituan captive. And Divot, the local pioneer that once held two-way Asia miles convertibility, has pivoted out of miles entirely. A graveyard marker that doubles as the strongest argument for exactly this partner-led approach. What this means for HeyMax: the partner map is deep enough that the constraint is not opportunity, but bandwidth. A roughly 30-person company cannot run 10 enterprise conversations at once, which is what the ranking is for. Sign the fast ones for proof. Feed the slow ones for position. And by the time the ranked 10 meets the 12-month plan of the final chapter, the order of operations is already written. Chapter 20, How HeyMax Wins Hong Kong. My verdict, stated up front, because 19 chapters have earned it. HeyMax can win Hong Kong, but only under a specific definition of winning, and only in a specific order. Winning does not mean displacing Cathay. Nothing displaces Cathay in Cathay's hometown. Winning means becoming the neutral miles layer of the market. the default second currency that sits above the banks, beneath Asia Miles, and across every rail from Octopus to WeLab. The thing ShopBack's Cashback DNA will not let it be, and Cathay's self-interest will not let it build. That prize is available. Whether HeyMax takes it comes down to sequencing, and the sequence I would commit to runs visibility first, credibility second, institutions third, which is roughly the opposite of how the company has spent its first 9 months. Begin with what the series established. The demand is real and underserved. 1.14 trillion Hong Kong dollars in annual card spend per the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, 104.7 million resident departures, a mainstream miles-chasing culture fed by earn rates of 5 to 8 Hong Kong dollars per mile on general spend. The incumbent currency has wounded itself, 3 Asia Miles devaluations in 31 months, and a collector psychology that now prices in the next one. The field is beatable, but not empty. ShopBack claims 1 million Hong Kong users and owns a Cathay conversion pipe, the banks are walled, and the coalitions pay in store credit. And HeyMax holds assets nobody else has assembled. The Cathay one-to-one transfer, restored 2 days before launch. Crip's 6,000 deal database and its bank relationships. The only transit payments miles earn in Hong Kong's history via Octopus. The Visa card-linked commute mechanic, an institutional issuance network running from Money Hero to Plaza Premium. A Hong Kong credible operator in David B. Wang, and peak XV's $11 million US. Against all of that, near total consumer invisibility, roughly 20 App Store ratings, 0 earned editorial, and a Singapore Trust arc, the cash for miles sunset, 17 partners cut, a core devalued on 8 days' notice, waiting to be imported by the first Cantonese blogger who bothers to look. The moat logic first, because it justifies everything else. HeyMax's 3 structural assets are individually copyable and jointly compounding. The Crip database makes it the only player positioned as neutral infrastructure, every bank an equal piece of the puzzle, in Wang's phrase, which is exactly the position HSBC, Cathay, and ShopBack are all constitutionally unable to occupy. HSBC serves HSBC. Cathay serves Cathay. ShopBack serves a cashback brand with one airline bolted on, at a rate of 1 Hong Kong dollar to 7 miles. The payments embedded earn, Octopus, Visa Transit, reaches daily behavior that affiliate clicking never touches. And the issuance network turns partners into distribution. Every institution that embeds Max Miles is marketing HeyMax to customers HeyMax never paid to acquire. Each new rail makes the next one cheaper to sign. That is a real moat, but only at scale. And scale requires the consumer awareness HeyMax has so far treated as optional. So the 12 months committed. Months 1 through 3, product hygiene and the warm tier. Fix what 5 news flagged before buying any audience, the mistransaction tracking failures, the data sharing story, the click-through friction, because every Tier 1 influencer will probe exactly those. Deepen Run Hotel, Flyday, and 5 News into tiered referral relationships. Make every promotion jet-suable so the Telegram layer syndicates it for free. Sign Klook for the fast, local, marquee logo, and start the Fly Again deal drip. Months 4 through 6, credibility. The Mr. Miles package, the audited walkthrough, the customer service escalation agreement, and the bridge into his own Lei Seung rewards scheme, the one that co-ops his proto-HeyMax, plus the first digital bank move. A ZA MilesBack campaign, or the WeLab global wallet integration, whichever counterparty moves first. Open the club and MTR conversations now, because those are 18-month doors. Months 7 through 9, conversion. The CUC exclusive, at genuinely market best terms, he will not run second best, and by now HeyMax can afford best, alongside a signed conversion deal at Ian or Da Sing as the financial services proof case, and the Visa commute campaign institutionalized as a seasonal fixture rather than a one-off. Months 10 through 12, institutions. Announce the Club Points to Max Miles bridge if the pitch has landed. Move Octopus from campaign to permanent integration negotiation. And publish a Hong Kong user number, because a company that claims 150,000 regional users and a million user target should be able to say what Hong Kong contributed. The continued silence reads worse every quarter. Now, what not to do, which matters just as much. Do not launch HeyMax first in Hong Kong in year 1. A prepaid miles credit line drew from 1 Mile Lion commenter, quote, brilliant financial engineering that doesn't even require the company to have a proper banking license, unquote, plus comparisons to the Miles Life collapse, and that was in Singapore, where HeyMax has 3 years of goodwill. In Hong Kong, where it has none, that product arriving early would define the brand. Do not devalue anything Hong Kong visible on short notice. The Accor cut, 1-to-1 down to 3-to-2, with about 8 days warning, is the single most repeatable mistake, and Sudasmile's pump and dump line is the review a Cantonese blogger is waiting to translate. Do not fight ShopBack on cashback terms. A company with negative equity of $230 million group-wide still outscales HeyMax locally, and cash versus cash is its home field. Miles breadth is HeyMax's. Do not buy the Tours Pit Hero video before the base exists. Do not chase you or MoneyBack in year 1. Coalition enterprise sales consume bandwidth the ranked 10 uses better. And do not mistake wire service syndication for earned coverage. The launch playbook already proved that media outreach distribution buys headlines and zero mindshare. Success metrics, dated and checkable by August 2027. A published Hong Kong-specific user figure, the disclosure itself is a metric, ending a gap I have flagged since Chapter 9. Hong Kong App Store ratings in the thousands, not 20. At least 2 of the big 4, CUC, Fly Again, Mr. Miles, FlyAsia, carrying live commercial relationships, and at least 1 dedicated review, favorable or not on any of them. 1 signed points conversion deal with a Hong Kong financial institution. The club or MTR relationship public. Octopus earning beyond capped promos. And the softest, truest signal, an organic LIHKG thread arguing about whether HeyMax is worth it. Because the day Hong Kong debates HeyMax is the day the one-line contrast from Chapter 13, Singapore debates whether HeyMax will stay generous. Hong Kong has not noticed it enough to debate anything, stops being true. The verdict then, without hedging. The strategy is available, the assets are assembled, and no competitor is positioned to run this exact play. ShopBack lacks the neutrality and the airline breadth. Cathay lacks the incentive. The banks lack each other. If HeyMax executes roughly this sequence, I expect it to be Hong Kong's clear second loyalty platform, behind Cathay's own stack, by the end of 2027, with the issuance network as a defensible, exportable template. The laboratory result that justifies Japan, Taiwan, and Australia. If it continues on its current course, institutional deals stacked quietly on top of consumer invisibility, it drifts toward becoming a business-to-business white-label loyalty vendor in Hong Kong. A respectable business. And a forfeit of the consumer brand this market was supposed to prove. The difference between those outcomes is not funding, and it is not product. It is whether the company treats visibility as a strategy or as a byproduct. And because falsifiability is the brand of this series, here is what would change my mind. First, and fatally, Cathay repricing or pulling the 1-to-1 Asia Miles transfer. That is the kill shot from Chapter 15. If the ratio worsens or the partnership lapses, the core pitch dies, and I would watch Standard Chartered's co-brand economics and Mox's captivity for early tremors. Second, ShopBack widening its pipe. Multi-airline conversion or instant transfers on top of its million-user base would neutralize HeyMax's breadth advantage faster than HeyMax can build trust. Third, the middle of 2027 arriving with the Big Four still commercially unclaimed. That falsifies execution, since this series has established the map was available. Fourth, a Hong Kong visible devaluation of the Cathay ratio or another Accor before trust exists. Contagion beats construction, and the Singapore quotes become the Hong Kong narrative. Fifth, no Hong Kong numbers published by the end of 2027. I will read continued silence as weakness, and so will everyone else. Sixth, David B. Wang leaving. Chapter 12, concluded that the Hong Kong operation is substantially one well-networked operator. His departure would orphan the CRIP relationships and the partner pipeline at once. Any one of the first two ends the thesis. Any three of the rest, and I will write the retraction myself. That is the analysis. Hong Kong is the hardest loyalty market in Asia, and the best one, a city that chases miles the way other cities chase property, guarded by a wounded monopoly and a wall of store credit. HeyMax bought its way in intelligently, built rails nobody else thought to build, and has so far told almost nobody. The next 12 months decide which sentence survives, the one where open loyalty found its proof market, or the one where Hong Kong added another name to the graveyard. I have told you which I expect, and exactly what would prove me wrong. That is all an honest analyst owes you.